Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Open our public hearing on the budget. I don't know if anybody has gotten a chance to go over the budget, gotten a copy from the town clerk's office, or we have a few copies available this evening here. Anybody has any questions? Comments?
Well, did you, I don't know where we addressed the questions.
Did you actually have one of those budgets? I didn't bring my budget down.
The
I wrote everything
questions
else
that-
but the budget down.
Oh,
Jane, do you have one?
I don't have a budget here now.
There we go.
Do we address the questions that Ned sent by email at this time, or? I mean, he had some budget questions.
Well, more statements than actual questions, but,
Let's see what I'm referring to.
sure. First off, any other public questions, comments about the budget right now? No? Okay.
I think it was like topic 2, letter C.
Okay, let me just, I'm gonna read this letter. Ned sent a letter, I'm gonna paraphrase some of it because it's lengthy. He'll be traveling to Israel today, so he wanted to send an email to share his thoughts and cast his vote considering the budget tonight. Apparently, Councilman Lang doesn't realize that he can't cast a vote by via email. He went into the local contractor with Chazen's estimate, which I'll read later, before Larry's presentation as well. His issues on the budget, my issues with the proposed budget are as follows. A, Carol has budgeted $2,000 for the budget officer, which is paid to her for developing the budget. When she was elected, this was not part of her pay, and it is backdoor means of receiving more compensation as a supervisor. B, the bookkeeper position is budgeted at $40,560 a year, plus approximately $10,000 in retirement expenses, not including Social Security and unemployment costs. The position calls for 30 hours per week and 2 weeks vacation. The equates to $33.71 per hour. This hourly rate is far in excess of the private sector customary rate of $16 an hour for the same services rendered. Our proposed budget for the general fund costs $541,983 in expenses, and the anticipated revenues are $154,700 in assorted revenues and approximately $288,582 in tax revenue, or $443,282 in total revenue. This leaves a budget shortfall of approximately $98,000. Unless we somehow outperform the current budget. This is a risky bet, and should we have any real unforeseen expenditure, we will have to substantially raise our unexpended balance. This is not good fiscal policy, nor should we support it, so my vote, again, is no on this proposed budget.
That's all you have to read for now.
Pardon?
That's all you have to read for now.
Yeah, that's all those issues on the budget. So, to address number A, item A, with the $2,000 for budget officer, that was put in the budget because it's a very common item found in town budgets, municipal budgets throughout the county and New York State, and the board had agreed to that last year, and it was added at that time. The bookkeeper position is budgeted $40,000. Yeah,
I have
a
to
big
say
problem
something.
with this. Yes.
Well, what I did call Cooper Arias to ask them what the average bookkeeper salary is. They didn't get back to me. But I did ask around, and the average, you see, he's saying that it comes to all this gazillion dollar, $33.71. Well, most of it is beyond our control. The only thing that we can control is the hourly rate. And I figured it out to be about $26 an hour.
Correct.
And everything that I've spoken to around it's right in that ballpark. So I don't have a problem at all.
No, there's no problem there at all.
No, that's what we had hired the bookkeeper at. Prior to that, we were paying the bookkeeper $25 an hour during Peg Harrison's term. And as far as for the customary rate of $16 an hour in the private sector bookkeepers and municipal bookkeepers are two entirely different beings. there's a whole different set of laws. It's just an entirely different job.
Well,
Different
I'm not-
laws,
And
different
knowledge.
responsibilities,
Yes.
everything else.
And I'm not
Yeah.
sure that $16 per hour is correct,
Yeah.
after I checked.
Yeah, and actually, the $16 an hour does not include, like he includes, retirement
everything,
expenses,
yeah.
social security, unemployment costs, I mean, any
Yeah.
of that.
Mhm.
You wanna add up anybody's
Right,
hourly
so
rate to,
That's what I'm saying, he should be comparing 26 to 16, but
right,
I don't think his 16 is correct, so
correct.
I think
I would
that
agree.
that's wrong.
And, I would also point out that, our bookkeeper is not just the bookkeeper, she's the receptionist, she's a human resource officer, she's the health insurance, person, she's civil service, I mean, Karen does
Yeah.
all of that. In other towns, one neighboring town in particular that Ned likes to quote is Coshocton, and while they only pay their bookkeeper X amount of dollars for X amount of hours, somebody does that other work. I said, who does that other work? Well, the town clerk does that.
Mhm.
Their town clerk, they also have a tax collector, they make far more than ours.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So you're paying somewhere, you're paying somebody to do that work.
Other towns, the supervisor also has a secretary, which covers a lot of that too.
Correct. Yep.
okay.
So, moving on, our proposed,
Carol,
Oh.
can I say something about that too?
Sure.
For anybody that works here in the town hall, Karen is indispensable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she
Mhm.
comes to your aid on anything you need.
yes, she does.
She has been my computer wizard since I,
It's all true, that's
Yeah.
why I wanted it to be
Now, let me tell
brought.
you something, and you just, Karen goes out of her way, she'll clip coupons, when she's on her own time, she'll be at Walmart or at, in Scranton, she's gotten us cases of copy paper for 2 cents a ream, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the kind of
And it's
benefits that
still
we
nice
have.
to have somebody in the town hall all the time, so if somebody
Yes, it
comes
is.
looking for somebody, Karen's there and she
Yeah.
can do it. I mean,
It's very
that
important.
says a lot.
It does.
Because the last thing people want is to come to town hall, the door's locked and they can't get a hold of anybody.
Right, exactly.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why we decided to make it a 30-hour position. That was important to us.
It's also important that one's taxes are paid on time as well.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
As far as the budget shortfall and using our unexpended, we always offset the budget with our unexpended fund balance,
Mhm.
always.
Mhm.
As long as I've been in town government, and that's about 27 years now, we've always used the unexpended fund balance. We rarely use
As
the
much as we
unexpended.
budget.
Last year, we wound up using $32 out of our unexpended fund balance.
Mhm.
So while we budgeted 107,160, we only used $32 of that. So we're only down $32 in our unexpended fund balance. Other years, I mean, past years, 2007, 8, we did use quite a bit of our fund balance. But we're doing other bigger projects and stuff too. This year, I anticipate using a little bit more in building expenses and whatnot. I was telling Norm we have, possibility of having to replace the, stove and the oven back there. I don't know how old that is, but it's pretty old. I looked them up online, they're between $6,000 and $8,000. We've got a lot of different building work, to do.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
We've got a lot on our plate.
That
A lot has
list
been
is-
let go over the years and,
That list has not went away.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you look at the unexpended fund balance, which I put,
Carol, you could look for that stove through a restaurant supply and get a used stove.
Yeah, I thought about that
Just
too.
for the shade.
yep,
Are they still in,
Yeah.
are they still
There's a
on?
big one over there in,
Scranton too, right?
no, there's one right over here in, Rock Hill.
Oh, is there, okay. Pardon?
Marty didn't, Marty's in matter.
Okay, yeah, so we got a few places to look. I thought about that too. I just looked it up quick online when they said something about it. Star?
Might you want to also just take a look at what that stove was used for before and what the uses are now, that you might not need such a huge unit with that much output?
When you do pancake breakfast, we use it all.
Yeah, but how many times a year do you do that? And you might be
Well, not
able to.
often, but this is a community hall and that's what,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
it's for the community,
Another
so
thing,
that's,
it could be rebuilt too.
yeah.
Well, it's so
No,
old.
no, don't say that, because
No.
that type of stove, they rebuild those and rebuild them and rebuild them.
Well, there's
Oh, yeah?
gas, you're right, all you need
They
is.
put everything new into it, all that's left is the hard frame.
Yeah. Well, things we have to look into, so. So I do anticipate other expenses that, we didn't necessarily budget for. We did up the building fund quite a bit. We should be good on computers because we've replaced all the computers, as a matter of being forced to, basically, because of the new, server and new, Windows components. When we're looking at the unexpended fund balance that we're gonna use to offset taxes by, I gave you all a sheet, the summary sheet. I have in there $96,008. That would be the unexpended fund balance that we would use to offset the amount to be raised by taxes. That would generate a 1% increase. Having the other building expenses and whatnot, I'm kind of more inclined almost to use less and raise taxes 0.5% more. And so that we had a little bit more in our fund balance should we need for the other building expenses.
I think that's okay, so taxes would go up
One and a half.
1.5. I think,
Yeah, it's,
1.5?
Yeah.
Everybody good with that?
yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Okay.
nobody in the audience is complaining.
Anybody else in the audience have anything to say?
Andy Boyer made us look good.
Glenn,
What's the other building?
what's the other building?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You were just talking about the other building?
No, other building expenses. Yeah.
Okay.
What is the grand, they have a grand total of, for expenses, or?
For expenses, yeah, it's in the budget.
I think it was
Which I just
Typical
handed to you.
Oh, is that it?
For, the budget itself went up 1.49%.
What is it?
1.49%. And then for our general fund, our total,
Is that including the other half?
what do you mean?
You just said it went up you were gonna raise it another half?
No, that was the budget increase was 1.49.
Okay,
So if we, no, that's on the other sheet, the summary sheet.
okay.
So we'll increase taxes by 1.5%.
Alright.
So,
A couple times, I just,
Yeah. I'll just leave it.
on the general fund, Bernie, it's $542,176. Highway and water and sewer has stayed the same. That's on page 9. You see the total, grand total there?
I think you wanted a big total for the total town.
Oh, for the total, okay. Do you want
That's
to,
why
what
it
we're gonna
always
set
gets
to the,
confusing. Karen, wasn't it like 1.8 something? Didn't we do it?
Are you raising everything?
Oh, that's the grand,
well,
that's the total for everything.
What did you say?
her total has the fire district in there too.
That was 2,118,000, but that's got the fire district and fire protection in there.
Oh, the 1,451,460 has everything, yeah. Bernie, if you're looking for a total on everything, that would be our general fund, our highway fund, then the special districts, you have the Narrowsburg Fire District, Tusten Fire Protection District, the Narrowsburg Light District, the Narrowsburg Water District, and the Narrowsburg Sewer District. The grand total is $1,451,460 to be raised by taxes.
Is that here somewhere? On a page?
That's on the summary.
No, that's on a
On the
on a
summary.
budget summary. That's something this is something we have to hand into the county.
But I think what the public and the press are looking for, taxes will be going up
1.5%.
1.5%.
The last 2 years I've had zeros, so,
Yeah, we can't, we have to,
yeah, you can't
Have to
always
go
go with a
forward.
zero, so. Trying to keep it low. But income's down and expenses are up, so we have to
I'm not gonna fill in forever.
increase a little bit at some point, so. Everybody good?
Does this address just,
Pardon? Proposed budget before the general fund.
remember he had written, that letter, Councilman Lang had written that email?
Uh-huh. Yes, we addressed that,
Fine, okay.
yeah, yep.
Well, the price of gasoline and
Oh,
diesel
no,
are
I
coming
mean,
down,
this-
right? Plus home
Yeah, right
heating oil
now.
is coming down, that should help somewhat.
That'll help us.
But you can't
As long as it's
count
been
them.
addressed.
Mhm.
Yeah, I addressed
Okay.
that, yeah. Tony just raised the point that,
$2.99 in Beach Lake,
Excuse me.
one day.
Council-
Bernie.
Councilman Lang had brought up the point that we'll have to substantially rate our unexpended fund balance, and that's not good fiscal policy. And that's one of the reasons he's voting no. He says it's a risky bet, and should we have any real unforeseen expenditures? We have our contingency, we have our unexpended fund balance. Unless catastrophe strikes, which we have insurance for most everything, I don't have a problem. I mean, like I said, this is what I said before, addressing that. We always use the unappropriated fund balance to offset taxes with. It's just the way things are done, and my last 2 years, we had outperformed our budget. Last year, we underperformed our budget by $32, so I think
It was
we're,
a bad snow year.
yes, it was, yeah. But we try to come pretty close, and I've brought Karen and I have worked hard preparing the budget and trying to get the budget to real numbers, to reflect actually what we're spending. So, that's.
Do we have any
that's about it.
certificates of deposit?
We have CDs, yes.
Do we get a long term or a short term? Generally
Uh,
speaking,
There,
A year, you don't wanna
Yeah.
go,
you have,
you don't wanna go more than a year.
well, a lot of them, you can take money out during the course of the, like if it's a 1-year certificate, you can take money out of it
Right.
without penalty. So, I mean, you're utilizing as much as you can get percentage-wise on
Oh,
a
yeah,
certificate.
yes, we do.
I mean, it's not a lot, but it's something.
It's something, yep, no, we do invest, and we call each bank to find out who's giving us the best rate, and that's who we
Would
go
have to
with,
be Catskill Hudson.
so. At any rate, if there are no further questions on the budget, I'll move to close the budget hearing. Have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? And we can open our regular meeting.
Okay.
Excuse me. Correspondence, Nymer, yeah. Nymer, I got the insurance quote. I'd gone over everything with them. I called them and then emailed them a list of concerns. Some of it didn't make sense. They had quoted me higher, law enforcement, as well as public officials' liability. There were a few other items in here that I questioned and questioned the increases as to why they were increasing, so. They emailed me back, I talked to them some more, and we got most of it down. We're up $450 over 2014. Some of the items came down, some increased. The biggest increase we have is public officials' liability, which increased by $472. I asked, why do we have an increase in public officials' liability? And I was told, because of Councilman Lang's lawsuit against us, they consider that a liability, and therefore we are charged for that. So, just wanted,
Put that in the minutes, please, since he's not here.
Just wanna make it clear that everybody's,
Put that in the minutes, please, because he's not here, so we can read it.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, no,
yeah, she's got it, yeah. So, yeah. It's a potential liability, so we'll be charged. So I was not pleased to hear that. New York State DOT, the TAP grant,
Well, I was absolutely crushed. We didn't get the grant for the sidewalks. However, I did call, it isn't a however we're gonna get the money, but it's a however, I did follow up and I spoke with, the contact that I had in New York State DOT with regards to it, asking him where the weaknesses were in the grant application, and, told him that if there's another round, we'll likely go forward with it, so if we can learn from this year, that would be helpful.
Right.
So he said it is not customary, but he would put together something, email it to me,
oh,
and
very nice.
let us know.
Okay.
And, yeah, I mean, I learned a lot just
Right.
from the conversation,
Sure,
so
yeah,
it's a learning process and we'll go forward.
very good. And thank you for all your hard work. I know that was a
Yeah,
big grant to
Why
write.
didn't we
That was-
get
that
it?
was huge.
Well, they score, and he wouldn't tell us our score. He said most of the issues that they had in the reviews were the design issues. And what I think might happen, so I'll bring it up now, it wasn't clear to them exactly how we were placing the sidewalk on Kirk Road, although I thought it was pretty clear when we wrote it. But it might be more helpful if we actually paid an architect to make the design and then submit that. He said that would be a lot clearer, but he cautioned me, if you pay an architect before the submission of the grant, that's not reimbursable. But
right.
still, that might be a
Right.
small, almost closer to a guarantee. Nothing's a guarantee,
Did
but
you
Right.
think of having the town engineer do it for you? Make a drawing for you?
whatever, but I think that would be clearer,
I think that would be more
because,
consistent.
But that could be expensive too, a design.
well, I don't know how expensive, we'll have to see.
Well, you can see just the design for the,
Yes, but
the
that's
walk,
a much bigger
I mean,
project.
all right, okay.
The other thing that he said was the drainage issues were not, spoken of enough,
Okay.
So, I mean, that's, I
Right,
guess,
well-
my fault.
Maybe it's not feasible.
No,
Like you
it's
said, it's a
feasible.
learning experience.
It's a learning
Yeah.
experience, so.
Okay. National Park Service wrote a letter to me regarding a GIS consultant. They're pleased to introduce Shannon Thal of Honesdale, Pennsylvania, GIS consultant with 5 years' experience. Ms. Thal is currently completing a Master's of Geographic Information Systems degree for working professionals at Penn State University. When Congress designated the Upper Delaware Scenic and Recreational River as a National Wild Scenic River, a review program of assuring substantial conformance with the land and water use guidelines of the Upper Delaware River Management Plan were prescribed. Currently, this is undertaken using printed maps and/or site visits by the Upper Delaware Council and the National Park Service, partners in managing the Upper Delaware Scenic and Recreational River. For her master's project, Ms. Thal is volunteering her services to develop a system that will enable more efficient and effective review using current geospatial and mapping technologies. In this regard, Ms. Thal is a representative of the NPS. The system she produces will benefit and be used by the town and township officials of the Upper Delaware River Valley, as well as the NPS and UDC staff. To develop this system, Ms. Thal requires current land use and zoning data for your jurisdiction. We request that you help her obtain the following: current zoning data and/or maps and filing formats listed in order of preference. A shapefile originally created using GIS. Shapefile digitized from georeference paper map, paper map that can be georeferenced and digitized. And using this information, Ms. Thal will create a unified representation of land use and zoning in the Upper Delaware Scenic and Recreational River Corridor. Additionally, she will develop a GIS for the National Park Service and the Upper Delaware Council to aid stewardship activities, furthering our commitment to provide technical assistance to municipalities, counties, and agencies along the river corridor. We recognize and respect existing privacy and security restrictions and information you share with us. Data acquired will be managed in accordance with strict constraints and protection of privacy information. So, project leader is Jamie Myers,
Okay,
and,
I like her.
yeah, Jamie's good.
Well, we are getting those discs, is that what we're
Right.
getting? And we got a couple extra.
So, we can give them some of the information that they need, and Gary, I'll pass this off to you if you can get them anything else that they need from us. Actually, maybe I should give it to Nicole.
Well, you should at least have a copy.
Nicole could coordinate the, whatever they need, okay? Thank you. That's that. Announcements, of course, our energy tips, and election day is tomorrow. And now we have a presentation by Larry Boudreau, Director of Land Development with Chazen Companies regarding our Riverwalk plan. So welcome, Larry.
Thank you very much.
Right here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, thank you for inviting me to
Thank you
make
for
it down
coming.
here. This is,
Can you come to the side so that everybody can hear you a little
what
bit
do you want
better?
me to do?
I'd like you to stand right over
Okay.
there, Larry, so that the others can hear as well.
All right, this of course is the Big Eddy Esplanade. It started that way and then it kind of been turned into the Riverwalk.
Riverwalk, right.
This project, as it grew from the concept stage, we kind of defined 4 distinct areas: a project 1, 2, 3, and 4. Project 1 being the overlook deck, project 2 being Veterans Park, and then Bridge South, and then the area that runs behind Main Street, essentially along the river, and ties to the overlook deck, and that would complete the 4 projects. We were very ambitious in the beginning, you know, the sky the limit kind of thing, and we had some really, you know, we vetted out some really creative ideas that all had to, be brought back down to
Down to budget.
reality when we developed the project to the design development phase, which comes out of the concept phase. And with that, part of that process was doing a geotech, and the stability of the soils was like below a 1, and that's really bad. You try to get up around 2 to design reasonable retaining walls and that kind of thing. And because of that, really it's very unstable soil all along that slope. That shouldn't surprise anybody because it's very steep, very tough to manage. And we kind of re-looked at the next phase of the work from the design development phase to our pricing drawing set, and really trying to take out some of the costs in the job to make it, you know, reasonable. And we looked at all 4 phases, and we submitted this document several times, but the final document went out last month, and it reduced the scope to really manage the soil conditions that were out there. So it doesn't make the connection from Bridge South to the overlook deck, and it doesn't mean that won't happen someday, because you still have all invested the concept and design development drawings, which, you know, are there and they're real. It also looks at ways to save costs in Bridge South area where we had that switchback ramp, and also we looked at costs in the Veterans Park, all to take out costs without losing the intent of our concept development. Going forward, we're going to submit CDs on just project 1. This set is essentially a CD set. I just wanted to get your feedback, and of course, since we started until we are today, of course, DOT is doing that big project that, you know, that's out there, and we don't know when that's going to get done. In our early discussions with DOT, they suggested that we would need a license agreement for Bridge South. Any work we do in the DOT right away would need a license agreement. And then, of course, any work we do on any DOT-related road would need a highway work permit. But those were kind of put on the back burner and until we're able to town's able to advance that section of drawing. So we threw our energy into completing a plan set from a pricing standpoint, which you have here. So I called the town, Carol, and asked you if you wanted me to come in to specifically go over this. We had a phone call last week, and we narrowed it down that we need to see these on the project one, and so that's where we're at. In addition to that, Chase provided a cost estimate for project one, which we sent out. That cost estimate.
Everybody got that right?
The cost estimate is really, I'm calling it an order of magnitude because I don't really know what the market conditions are today, right here, but I have a lot of contacts with contractors, and I sent them the drawing, and I asked them, if you were to do a job in here, can you give me an order of magnitude, budget-wise, so I can kind of, fit this thing out. So that's what that was for.
Do you wanna just give that number so that people hear it?
Yep, okay, the subtotal of the project is $265,050. The contingency fund is $39,757. That brings the total project cost to $304,807. So.
Right, so that, there are many line items in there that include, demolition of the old deck. There's special conditions in there which the contractor will have to deal with, which includes mobilization, any kind of staging they will have to do to work on the sidewalk, block off that part of the street there to do the work. They have to manage and mitigate the overhead wires, so they're gonna have to, instead of bringing in a big crane, they're gonna have to deal with smaller equipment to manage it. All those things need to be made clear, and they are on this set, but that's reflected, in there. We have also included some soft costs because shop drawings will need to be reviewed. Contractor will have questions. I expect that they'll want to VE the job, value engineer it, look for further cost savings, and there are cost savings that can be done, with this deck.
Larry, with the design as it is now, it shows, again, because of the financial constraints, that we did away with the serpentine walkway down below. And it's a straight wall. Is it ever possible in the future to add a walkway?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Sure, yeah, that's, what's there fits that stairway going down.
So it would be a backdrop for the serpentine wall?
Yes.
Yeah, walk.
Yeah, so it can still happen, it just adds to,
Right.
The expense.
Project costs and,
Yeah, with my team, I'm stressing, let's get a project completed for them,
Right.
build, community pride here with,
Right.
with this deck, and then see how things go.
It was interesting. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a question because, the public and the press are here and maybe they haven't seen the plans and they look at the number of $300,000, give or take. And they say, well, that's a big number. So I guess what you could do, since you were nice enough to come here tonight, is how does this deck, okay, the overlook deck, which is unquestionably a centerpiece of the town of Tusten, people enjoy it whether they're visitors or tourists or residents. How does this deck, the proposed deck, differ from the existing deck aesthetically? And then also, we know that the deck is 40 years old, and we know that some people think it's structurally unsound, but how does it differ, if I was to look at it tomorrow, from what we already have existing?
Okay, that's a great question. One is the existing deck is wood. It's failing, it's slipping away. As you know, there's a gap there. We went under, structurally looked at it. The deck we're proposing is concrete with steel footing, foundation that goes down the rock. So we're going right down the rock to ensure this thing, you know, does not pull away, does not fail. The other thing that we're doing is we're making it, you know, right now there's a lip there, you know, between the sidewalk and the existing deck. Well, that goes away, because we're with concrete, we're making the overlook deck part of the sidewalk. So even though it's not much bigger, it's going to have the appearance of being bigger,
Okay.
because we're stamping the deck and the sidewalk. So it'll look like,
Right.
you know, you're getting a lot of bang for your dollar, because we're pulling in the sidewalk. The other thing that we're doing is we're putting a cable rail instead of, you know, a wood, you know, board on board, you know, railing. This will be a cable rail that, you know, kind of disappears when you're walking up to it, looking out towards the view that we're trying to capture. So that's something that's used quite a bit now today, you know, to capture those views, not, you know, not to block them.
So if this project was to start, what would the lifespan be of this? Because let's say, my understanding is that the existing deck that you've seen, that we've all seen, is probably 40-odd years old right now. So what would you figure the lifespan of a project like this would be?
I mean, that's another great question. I would ask my structural engineer that, and I can get back, but I'd say it's probably double.
Double that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you
That's
mentioned to
significant.
us, just for the public's knowledge too, that you weren't using ordinary concrete, you were using something that,
Yeah, well, it's stamped concrete, so the idea here, stamped. It's colored and stamped concrete. So we're stamping it to match a slate pattern, similar to the one that's at Veterans Park, or close to it. And in the drawing set and the spec, we're requesting, you know, 2 samples be done, and then the town basically picks one. So we'll have it, you know, set up, you know, 4x8, I think that's what I called
Right,
out,
okay.
stamped and colored,
Yeah.
so
and-
we can see it before.
and then you see
Before
it,
goes
Oh,
in,
I'm
yeah.
much happier.
it'll be displayed, and
Yeah.
But
and
that
then you
isn't
pick.
the point I was asking you to make. You told me on the you told us on the phone that there's some level of concrete. It's a much stronger or less
well,
longer.
we're specing it, I believe, 4,000 PSI, which is, you know,
Above
sidewalks might be 35. This is at
That's what I
4,000.
wanted you to say. Okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, did you ever figure out how deep the rock is there? You're
Yes.
talking about going down
Yes,
the rock?
we found the rock, we geoteched it, and we went down, hammered it all the way down, and it's profiled on our drawings. And we're going right down to the rock on our footings.
Do you have any idea off the top of your head how many feet that was? Because I know we drove
Yeah.
10-foot re-rod down in there and we never hit rock.
Yeah,
27, 28 feet if I remember.
let me see, I have it here.
Well, okay.
I think it
I was just curious how deep you had to go to hit it after driving 10-foot re-rod.
double what you did.
Is that a big chunk of the expense? Is getting the foundation in?
Yes, that's the biggest.
I know, that's what we have to know
But-
too.
Larry just said that's the biggest expense, is that foundation to the deck.
You don't have to look it up, Larry, I just.
Yeah,
They give me a-
it's here, the set is so big, that we keep, doing
It was
it,
just
but
a-
I am gonna find it for you, or maybe
It was
afterwards,
just a curiosity thing, that's all.
pull it over here.
Do you still wanna do the demo?
Not really, but if I have to, we will, I guess. Everybody shakes their head, yeah, but when some guy falls off there and gets hurt on that steep
I
bank, we'll
think
see
it-
how.
It sounded like Larry said there was a lot to demolition. It isn't just a,
Well, let me kind of walk through that. You know, the key here is staging and how all that's gonna be done. And the way to do this, because, you know, when I was here a couple months ago, we were gonna wrap the whole thing with a retaining wall and backfill it. And I knew the costs were gonna just
Right.
shoot out, you know, through the roof. So what we're doing, we're using tie-back walls, and we're building a steel deck, you know, which if you're on the river looking up, you could see the underneath. But then we're hanging precast sections that are cast in with dry stack stone, so when you're on the Delaware River looking up,
You'll see
it'll
dry
appear
stack
like
stone.
it's a dry
Right.
stack stone. This is the kind of stuff you'll see along the highways, you know, where they use for noise barriers and stuff like that. But I'm still trying to find this rock thing. No,
So you're talking-
afterwards I'll grab you one.
Like riprap? Not riprap, it's dry stack wall. It'll
No,
be
no,
like
no.
a laid stone wall.
Here,
it'll look
well,
like,
I
right?
have a section right here, so I'll show you.
I don't like the Long Island Expressway, which is pretty ugly.
Well, I'll show you, it's right here. Find the section. Here we go. So that's a dry stack.
Oh, okay, gotcha, yep. Okay.
So the idea is, this is the view up from the Delaware River.
Right.
And this is the side views, we
Yeah,
brought
that's what we
one
looked at.
panel back.
That's page
Okay.
13, I
Yeah.
bet you. I think I remember.
So, yeah, I'll show you right here. So this is the view when you're looking up from the Delaware River.
But I think the expense is
This is
getting
precast
into
dry
the-
stack stone here with the cable railing here.
And
And then the side views, we're bringing back
Gotta go
one.
27 feet to hit rock, it says
One-
for the building.
one
it says
panel.
there's no-
Returns.
That's why they have two basements.
May I ask you, did you ever consider possibly using, we were up at Corning recently, and they have this material, I guess the most famous decking is the one out in the Grand Canyon, but it's actually slabs of glass that are super strong. I don't know how it would compare as far as weight and cost, but aesthetically, that might be very nice to have.
Slabs of glass?
Slabs of glass, yes. And they can texture it so it doesn't get slippery if it gets wet. But that might be something to look into from a number of
But then
points.
you have vegetation being heated by the sun underneath, and you get, you know, in the Grand Canyon, it's desert, so
Right, yeah,
you
that's
don't
correct.
have the vegetation growing like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Canyon hangs out over the canyon.
Yeah.
This would be looking down at the dirt.
Yeah.
Well, when you're looking down at that bank, and you're talking about possibly doing a serpentine walk at some point, and
No,
I'm
you wouldn't
assuming
see
they're
the
gonna be doing
cancer
some
on
sort of
But at the deck
Decorative.
level, well,
cleanup.
Well, I mean, this is what we have,
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Yeah,
I
this is,
expect,
we spent the last, what, year and a half
you
getting this far
know,
on these.
get the thing out
Yep,
to bid.
absolutely. Yeah.
And see where this thing falls and shakes out. And then this right here, this wall section would be where I would VE, value
Mhm.
engineering. You can say, this is coming in too much, we gotta find an alternative.
Right.
And then look for alternatives.
Mhm. No, we asked, there was one point, the stamped concrete on top, and then if we got donated bluestone.
Yeah, we're
Could
gonna
we still
put that in the
Okay,
final CD set, which we spoke about on the
Yeah.
phone, as an alternate price. you
right,
know,
because,
bluestone.
yeah, how would that work? Would that just, there would be the concrete base and then that would be laid on top of
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it would be laid
basically?
in there, you know.
Okay.
is that less expensive than,
I don't think it's gonna be,
it's negligible?
yeah, no, I don't think it's gonna be.
Larry,
Okay.
is it possible to develop this thing as we go with the costs on various sections and tiers where we could either adjust the cost of the project accordingly and have that worked out ahead of time instead of waiting to a point and then trying to figure
Well,
backwards?
you know, everything is, you know, once you have this steel frame up,
Yeah.
because that's what you need.
Right.
No matter what you do, even if you did wood over it, you need the steel frame pinned to rock. That's the first thing, and then really, you know, the concrete's not, I mean, it's a concrete deck, you know, you see them
Right.
all over the place
Yeah.
where they deck and then pour it. We're using 6-inch concrete.
But I'm saying when you're talking about those retaining walls, that can be either deleted or not. I'm
Yeah.
saying just put it in there up front so we know how much each like we know from the estimates how much it is, but how much would affect the whole project in total cost if we move,
Yeah.
or remove or add something.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, but if we don't do this now, because these things have to be hung with, you know, some cranes, small cranes.
Right,
and,
okay.
And if you don't do them now, you're not gonna wanna bring that out over the deck and hang it. But again, when a contractor's on the job, he'll be here presenting
Right.
and, you know, you can have that discussion with them.
Plus, I'd still like to have the town engineer take a look at this and see what he has to say about the whole.
Who's that?
Wes.
Les? Oh, Wes
Have him run
Illing?
over the whole thing, take a look at this.
Okay, Iris, you have a question?
Yes, I wanted to know whether stamping the concrete eliminates any possibilities of cracking, because I know even 6-inch can crack, and over time
Yep.
expands and contracts, so does the stamping prevent that?
Well, we have control joints in here,
You do have,
and we know where it's
Okay.
gonna crack, so we have that in there as well.
I have a question for
Yeah.
Councilman Meyer, okay?
Yes.
In light of Councilman, no, I have a question
Norm.
to Norm. In light of the email that the board received today from Councilman Lang, where it says, and I'll just quote, both you and Councilman Lang, I understand, we examined the concrete bases which support the deck, and they remain solid in structure and sound. Is that correct?
If we wanted to just go with the straight replacement of what was there.
Meaning that if you
If we
want to
wanted
just.
an alternative drop back that we couldn't afford, to say that they could be still reused.
Right, and that's, I don't know what kind of local contractor, you had somebody quote a price?
Well, they're working on a price quote for have this for next month.
Oh, to have it,
Just have an alternative, just replace
yeah,
what
no,
was
sure,
there.
He said-
replacement wood,
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
said
okay.
that they'd given us a rough estimate of 250,000. And that's actually that's almost on par with what this will cost.
No, we weren't talking about anywhere close to 250,000.
Okay, it said rough
Not even
estimate of
close.
250,000 versus the original 500,000 in construction cost for the version, for Chazen's version of the new overlook deck, but we've cut that from the 500,000.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is that it seems like the lion's share of this cost is basically the concrete, the bases,
Yeah, now,
right?
you know, when I went underneath there, a lot of them did look good. Some of them I was questioning because it looked like as it got up closer to the wall, it looked like that's where the problem was. As a
Like
straight,
salt damage and other things.
yeah, I would just vet that out further.
Yeah.
You know, just, I mean, if that's the way, I would go ahead and drive a couple of steel piles all the way down to rock. You know, I would, you know, like we have a grid here,
Yeah.
maybe you go half that
Right.
grid, use what's there
Mm-hmm.
and structurally, you know, make
Yeah.
it sound that way. So, I wouldn't do a total I would strengthen the integrity of it, you
Yeah.
know, but it's certainly an alternative.
Have the
Some
existing
comments.
footers go down to rock?
No, I tried digging down, I think I hit the bottom of one, I was probably 6 feet,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, again, we go down the rock with, you know, with ours, so I would certainly recommend if that's an alternative solution to hit,
Well, just having alternatives.
you know, how the, you know,
Found-
pop
I
the
was
steel down.
going through old piles, cleaning out a file cabinet, and came across some stuff that was done by Bob Meyer. He had done an engineering, he had gone over it as an engineer, that deck twice,
Mm-hmm.
and both times apparently that deck had been strapped back to prevent it from walking,
Yeah.
back when the sidewalks were put in.
Right.
So this has been an ongoing problem, that deck has been walking out to the river since, I mean, when were the sidewalks done? That was Dick Crandall's term, probably what, 15 years now? So 15 years ago, when Leeward did the sidewalks, they used straps to strap that deck back,
Yeah,
so.
they were under there, right.
Yeah, and that was the second time that had been done according to Bob's report, so, I don't think just replacing this with what we have is really an option.
Well, let's say 250, the difference between 250 and.
Well, that 500, I think, was when we were going to
Yeah.
Right,
wrap it.
Yes,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah,
yep,
all the way
and then,
around.
yep, and then we asked the cut
And
those
then when
costs.
we're here, the way we're doing it now is tie-back walls, just so you know, tie-back walls, you see them when they
Kevin,
build buildings, you drive piles down, you build the walls, you go.
I can ask a
Kevin?
question? What about in the winter with salt, because excessive salt is used up there, which have been mentioned about the existing piers? You're talking expansion joints and so forth, and concrete, which is usually on a Q decking or precast or whatever it is. And 4,000 PSI isn't, and it isn't much more than what's used in normal practice. What about excessive salt just laying on there constantly? How's that gonna work with your expansion joints, or if you went for a cheaper version of setting bluestone in, or whatever you guys are talking about? Is there an alternative gonna have to be used
The alternative to, I'm sorry, to what?
to using salt in the winter?
Oh, sure.
I don't think Pennsylvania uses salt.
Magnesium disulfide, that's what we
Excuse me?
have. We're using magnesium disulfide out the courthouse
Yeah,
on the expansion joints on the
How's that hold up?
It still did damage.
Yeah,
I don't care what
I
you do, you
mean,
expand and contract something,
you
you're
have to
gonna
maintain
damage
it.
it.
right.
And you've gotta, take care of it,
Yeah.
and,
It worked its way into grouting, and eventually it was
yeah.
undermining the granite steps there.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying. I mean, this is a public space. It'll be used a lot. You don't want people slipping and falling, so
Right.
you're gonna overdo it with this all, to make sure
Yeah.
it's melted.
If it were bluestone on top, would that mitigate some of the problem?
I think it'd be worse.
Yeah.
It'd be worse?
Yeah, I think it'd be worse, it'll pull it right out, yep.
Yeah,
Scale
Be
it off
popping the
too.
stones off.
yeah. But again, that's a good question, because this is gonna have a lot of traffic. You gotta maintain it. You don't want people slipping and falling.
Mhm. Then you also have problems with slippage and fallage with some of the melting agents in themselves, why they're very constitution.
Right.
Magnesium disulfide comes in a very round pellets, almost like throwing
Mhm.
ball bearings on the floor
Mm.
for a while till it starts to dissolve.
But to answer your
I
question,
use that all the time at home. Don't have a
there's,
problem.
I can look into it, I'm gonna ask the supplier of because the concrete's not only stamped, but we're dyeing it too, so there's,
The longevity of it's an issue,
Right,
you know, if you're
right,
spending 300
right,
grand on
so-
something.
I'm gonna reach out to them, find out what they recommend.
Okay.
With dyeing it, is there a lifespan of that before there's fading?
It's, as long as we seal it, I'm calling out for it to be sealed too.
How often
And the
does it have to be
and-
resealed?
And the dye goes, through and through the concrete,
Right.
so when it's in there,
Right.
it's,
Right, it's in there,
it's whatever the color is.
yeah.
That's another good every, I'm sealing concrete now, it's probably, every, maybe 5 years.
Okay.
A project of this magnitude, how long would this take from beginning to end? Say that once
This is
the
one
bid,
season, yeah.
One
I mean,
season?
Yes,
3 months?
yeah, you're in and out, you
Okay.
have to be.
Which season?
Which, the
Which
spring,
season?
starting the spring, done by the
Done
fall.
by fall.
Fall construction season.
Yeah, that's the way, everything is figured up here, season to season, because we have
End of April.
Indiana bats, you gotta, get the clearing done, the trees out. We don't have that problem here. The other thing I wanted to ask, did you get the email I sent out today?
I did not.
Did it just come? I just.
Ed, did you get
I had
it?
them upstairs, but I didn't print them.
Yeah, I sent it to, it has a resolution in there.
It has the sequin in it.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and type 2 action for the deck. I have it here, I have a copy here.
Well, 6 PM today, maybe?
Larry, what would be the chance of heating the deck?
Yeah.
What's that?
What would be the chance of heating the deck?
Oh, well, when
I
he said
have
that,
it.
I
I
was
can't download
thinking
people
about
with
it.
download.
We still get the, the water on it.
Yeah, but you wouldn't get the frost
You know,
working
the
into
phones
it.
work better than I have to be on, I didn't sign up to the Wi-Fi, I guess.
I've never done that in this situation.
That's like a heated driveway, isn't it?
Basically.
Yeah, it probably is.
There's a woman up in Saratoga Springs heated her whole yard so the dog didn't have to walk in the snow.
Can she come here?
It's amazing to see that yard. There's 2 foot of snow everywhere else, and she's got green grass. Yeah.
Is out there more lawn to mow?
Okay, the next meeting we can do this?
Well,
Okay,
I mean,
right.
just trying to
Okay, yeah.
wrap this up.
Just a question here, does the proposed action require permit approval of funding from any other government agency? Yes. If yes, list agencies naming permit or approval.
And the agency's not there.
Yeah.
Can I just see that resolution?
Well, the agency department is there.
Okay.
Should be listed there. This is just for type 2 action on the deck itself,
Right,
project
okay.
1.
So do you wanna, you tabling this resolution
I mean, you
until December?
could do it.
You could do it tonight if you
We
wanted to.
could do it tonight, right?
Right.
Let me just read over this really quick. Do you wanna read?
No, it's a type 2 action, is a short
Yeah.
environmental assessment. That's the most important thing. It seems
Right.
that you've got the votes to basically
Right.
pass that resolution tonight as opposed to,
Right,
you can read it.
yeah, we can get this done with. So resolution, Town of Tusten proposed overlook deck improvements, town board, resolution. Whereas the Town of Tusten is proposing the replacement of the existing deteriorated overlook observation deck located on Main Street along the Delaware River, the existing deck will be replaced with a new ADA compliant steel and concrete deck. The existing sidewalk will be incorporated into the new deck. The .12 acre tax parcel is identified as section 9, block 10, lot 13 on the Town of Tusten official tax map. The proposed deck, including the sidewalk portion, is approximately 1,200 square feet. The project has been approved for New York State Department of State funding. No other approvals are required, and whereas a short environmental assessment form was prepared for the proposed project on November 3rd, 2014. And whereas section 617.5 of the State Environmental Quality Review Law, part 617 provides a list of type 2 actions that have been determined not to have significant impact on the environment or are otherwise precluded from environmental review under Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8. Replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet building or fire codes unless such action meets or exceeds any of the thresholds in section 617.4 of this part. Whereas based on a review of the project plans and the short EAF, the town board believes that the proposed observation deck improvements project is consistent with a type 2 action as described above. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board determines the project to be a type 2 action and no further environmental review is required under SECRA.
I would just strike the word concrete and just make it deck.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. Because it could be bluestone.
It could be bluestone.
Could be any-
okay,
I mean, there's still concrete that's holding the
Right.
bluestone, but I just feel
Right,
more
yeah.
comfortable.
okay. So it basically has nothing to do with
No.
the actual wording of
No,
that, it's
no.
the
Right.
SECRA
Right.
is what we're approving, so.
Right.
I'll move this.
I'll
Can I have a
second.
second? Any board discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay,
Okay.
right.
That's done.
Thank you, Larry.
Could I ask just one more question?
Yeah.
With the recent information we got about the bridge now taking longer to complete the repairs than we had previously thought, is that gonna have any impact on the ongoing development of this project?
Yeah.
Not on the deck.
Not on the deck, no,
On
no, I'm just
Veterans
saying the
Park
whole
and-
thing.
Bridge South, yes.
And money.
Even the
Money,
park.
too.
Well, as I said, Veterans Park and
Yeah.
Bridge South, yes.
Uh,
So,
What is the bottom line cost on this, the project?
the bottom line, the bottom line cost
Estimate. Bottom line
Estimate.
estimate.
is $300,000.
Of which we have 125 and 31,000.
And the rest is being, we getting a grant for the balance?
The board has to
looking,
discuss
but-
that.
Hmm?
The board has to discuss the rest of the money for the project.
170,000
We did.
still gonna have to
We-
come up from somewhere.
Three, the bottom is 300,000?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
total.
The total is
Total worst scenario.
Yes.
So
Worst
there's,
scenario.
so there's a couple things that will happen. There'll be an alternate.
Some alternates,
And
yes.
you'll get this out to bid,
Yeah.
and you'll have a number.
Yep.
And then you can make a decision.
Right.
You know, it may be a combination of both, you know, it may be exactly this.
Right.
This happens, everything we do, you
Yeah.
know, changes every day out when stuff's
Yeah.
being built, you know, to meet the budget.
Yeah, I mean, the town board had resolved, what, last month or the month before
Couple months
to,
ago.
yeah, a
Right.
couple months ago to do the project.
Right,
Yeah,
So,
that sounds
to
good.
move
even if
forward
we
with
had
it.
to bond it.
There is, money's cheap right now, so if we had to bond some of the money, we could do that. We're looking for the, LDC to hopefully raise some money for it.
Do
Anybody
we
else
charge
who would like to?
admission?
Anybody else that would like to,
Just to look through the,
extend their generosity
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Well, 25 cents.
yeah.
let me ask, how dangerous is the deck at this moment? I counted 25 people on there the other afternoon. Is that's about maybe 5,000 pounds, maybe? Is there any chance of collapse?
I think you sent me an email, and I referred it to our structural engineer. If you want our structural engineer to come down and look at it and give an opinion,
That's, well,
We've already been over that with our town
Yeah.
engineer.
you know.
Yeah.
And he would only go to this year, and that was it.
Yeah, he only gave us a,
2 years, that was it. That's
Yeah.
all he would sign off onto it.
2 years being the end of this year.
I'd hate to see it collapse with all them people on it.
Well, the wood is
Well, we could
completely
charge for
deteriorated.
admission for that, Bernie.
Well, maybe they should close it then.
But to answer your question, Bernie, the thing is, you're talking about the funding, okay, of this, who's gonna pay for this? I mean, in the agenda, it says old business Riverwalk grant dollar updated, so I would assume that we're gonna talk about that in old business agenda item 9, okay? Because there is,
Is item 9 in the budget?
item 9 is under
I also
old
have an
business.
email too.
Oh,
Okay, with me, I have to, issue one more set, it'd be the
Okay.
CD set for project 1.
Okay,
Okay, it doesn't
Hope we get it.
become a complete CD set until the project moves forward and we're able to write the spec
okay,
that ties to this project and the way you want to advance it, the dates and all that kind of stuff. We'll do the
Okay.
front end, back end, and then the middle of this project manual book.
okay,
So, and Department of State may have certain requirements too, that, you know, now if they're
Okay.
funding it,
right.
you know, now that we'll know.
Did
This
you see their
set,
budget?
what's that?
Did you see their budget?
No.
As far as the work program
No.
for the, this is what she came up with just in contractual,
Right here?
so, yeah.
Okay.
Now, she said we'll be over that, but she
Okay.
said she expected, because this is matching, the 106 is
Okay.
ours,
Okay.
the grant that we're getting.
Okay.
So she says you'll be over that, so she put it all in contractual, because we'll have a contract with the construction company.
Right, okay.
So- Is that fair,
Wait,
I would say?
Oh, you're saying that is the,
Total, but we'll be over the 212,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
So, but she said, because,
Yeah, she's taking that and doubling it.
right,
All you're asking is to make sure that we'll have that much contractual expense
yeah, in
so that
construction.
it matches
Oh,
the
yes,
budget.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
all.
Okay,
These sets, this set won't look any different other than just being the overlook deck.
right,
Ed wanted me to show a crosswalk coming across. I'm going to define that area as by the town, you know, so it's separated out, it'd be the crosswalk being done by the town.
okay,
That, you know, gets you more, you know, in-kind or
Right,
town
okay, gotcha,
donation
yeah.
dollars, you know,
Yeah,
to do
okay.
that. We'll show the handicap ramp.
okay,
I just wanna make sure, I'm gonna put it on plan sent to you, and if you could just verify that that's where you want it. The other thing we'll do is we'll show the alternate for the bluestone, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna do our final QAQC, and then
Okay.
we're done.
Thank
very
you.
good,
All right?
thank
And
you very much.
Thank you, Larry.
All right, take care, everybody.
Thank you, Larry,
Yep, we'll see you.
good to see you,
Yep.
thank
Happy
you.
Turkey Day.
I'm glad we got that resolution done.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there you
Great.
go. Thanks for coming
Yep.
out, have a safe trip home.
MasterCard.
Watching too much Green Acres, using Mr. Zipper technique.
That's not on there.
They're online.
The immortal word every time we give them 2 cents across the floor.
Okay, division reports, highway, Glenn?
Okay, have no overtime to report for October. We used 356 gallons of gasoline, 129.9 was non-highway, 226.1 was highway. We used 742.5 gallons of diesel fuel, 304.5 was non-highway, 438 was highway. Used the backhoe and took down some big dead pine trees that were leaning towards the road. Also cut the right-of-ways back on the dirt section of Moss Pond Road. Graded and ditched Mile Hill Road. Cut brush on Perry Pond Road, still have a good day up there before we were finished. Got the little sanders out, did some work on them, have them on the trucks and ready to go. Have a spare sander we were working on to get running so that we have a spare. Got the sanders freed up and lubricated on the big trucks, put the grates in. Replace cutting edges as needed, have the plows and wings on the big trucks. Did some ditching on the south side of Brook Road towards 97, mainly cut the banks back. Cut brush and some overhanging limbs on the upper side of Grassy Swamp Road. Did some paving behind the town hall because of complaints about the safety with some of the senior citizens. Picked up some steel and plated our cat loader bucket. It was getting thin in spots and also getting some holes in it. I think the guys did an excellent job. We priced one out, it was like $9,000 for a new one. Hopefully we get a couple of years out of it. It's a pretty heavy plate we put on. Had to clean some leaves out of the ditches around town to keep the storm drains and some of the pipes open. Spent a lot of time driving around checking roads because of all the wind this last month. A lot of branches have come down and a handful of trees. Ditched in front of Peck's Market on Kirk Road and did some ditching on Humphrey Road.
Good job.
Thank you, Glenn.
And that's all we did. The rest of the time we partied and drank beer.
Yeah.
But not on overtime, so.
That's all. As long as it's overtime, I don't care. This next time, give me a call.
Okay.
Any questions for Glenn?
Invitations be sent out.
Okay.
Water and sewer,
Karen, can
did you
I
hear
add
from Don?
something to the
Cause I
highway?
didn't. No, I don't know what happened to Dominic tonight.
Could I
Pardon?
add something to the highway?
Sure.
I'd like to thank the highway department. Narrowsburg Motors was kind enough to donate a file cabinet to the town. The highway department picked it up on Monday, painted it, and had it in my office on Wednesday.
Wow.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you. Let's see, building, Gary.
For the month of October, conducted 18 construction-related expenses, inspections, 1 fire and safety inspection, 3 complaint-related inspections, 1 certificate of occupancy was issued, and 6 certificates of compliance. Issued a total of 8 building permits, including 1 new home, 1 garage, 1 renovation or an addition, and also 1 for alteration. 2 electrical permits, 1 mechanical permit, 1 pool permit. We did 5 municipal searches. We received 3 complaints. 2 of them were closed. And we did 1 stop work order. The amount that we collected for the month was $1,800.31. $1,800.31. Sorry, I'm tongue-tied today. $1,831.65. And we also did some training regarding the cleaning of restaurant hoods and agricultural districts. That's it.
Thank you very much, Gary. Any questions for Gary? Yes, sir, Ken.
During the month of October, along with several more deeds to process, the star and aged exemption renewal applications were mailed out to approximately 170 Tusten taxpayers. About 15% of these renewals have already been returned during office hours and by mail. As of Friday, October 31st, the star rebate checks were received from New York State as the school district stayed under the 2% tax cap. This was to compensate the property owner for the increase in taxes. And they weren't large, but they were sent.
And who did they go to?
People that got Star. Now, you probably didn't get one because you didn't have the parcel last year and you didn't have Star, so
Okay.
they didn't have any base to raise your taxes on.
We got $40, which is better than the poking the eye with a sharp stick.
Well, some people got poking an eye at $9.
I got $28.
You got 8, Ed?
80,
28.
28.
Yeah.
I got 20 and Mama got 20.
Depends on how your value is, as to how much the Star exemption picked up of the increase. I got results for the third and final small claims assessment hearing, and there was no reduction given again. I had prepared a long and thorough report for this hearing. It was done in September, and find it was well worth the effort so we could maintain the tax
Thank you
base.
very much.
I attended a continuing education class. What's happening? Well, in Middletown. Even though the topic was not one of which we had much exposure to, there was much discussion with the class and instructor that proved very beneficial to me. I felt it was one of the best courses I've attended in a long time. I've scheduled another course on exemption administration for November.
What was the course that you liked?
Well, the course was on things like Dunkin' Donut type establishments, which we don't have a whole lot of. But mini marts.
Chains
Well,
stuff?
not chains, but small eating establishments. But anyway, a lot of other things were discussed that I don't think anybody was too interested in much of them. A lot of other things were discussed on ratios and so on, and cap rates and whatever. It was good.
Got something good out of it, that's good.
Yeah. For once, it was worth the trip.
Uh-huh. Thank you, Ken.
You're welcome.
UDC, Susan.
Hi. Well, I'll tell you, our meeting is preceding the November UDC meeting, so this is mostly stuff that has already happened. And
Will you
stuff-
speak up, Sue, please?
Sure. Okay, this is stuff that we are working on, essentially. The only exception to that is, I wanted to ask Tony, because since the last time that we met, the water conference took place in Hancock. And
Water everywhere?
Yes. And I was wondering if there's something that you wanted to share with the board that took place at that conference.
Well, I did not attend, but let me see. At the last meeting that I chaired, Travis Odell did give a report because he was up there, and Lori Ramey, the executive director, was up there. It was the 5th Water Everywhere conference that they held up at West Branch Angler, which is north of Hancock. It was well attended. It's a 2-day conference, which is sponsored by Friends of the Upper Delaware River. Our Congressman Chris Gibson was there, gave a presentation, and there were other presenters as well over the 2 days. I think it's good that they're having a conference that's open to the public. They said 80 people had shown up, and that's basically it. Usually, if you go to Friends of the Upper Delaware's website, they'll give a PDF, because most of these presenters, whether it's Friends of the Upper Delaware, whether it's Delaware Highlands Conservancy, I think Sue Courier was there to give a presentation, they'll put their PowerPoint presentation online. So anybody that didn't attend or would like to see it again, you could just go to Friends of the Upper Delaware, FUDR.org, and you can see prior presentations that were done, and possibly Chris Gibson's talk and question and answer is also online as well. But my understanding was it's great that they're having it, 5th year, 80 people showed up. The press, I believe, gave it, some ink. River Reporter and the Democrat, I think, gave it ink as well, which is good. And they were, talking about flood control, cold water issues, tourism, impact studies. And I think that we've got a good friend in Chris Gibson, because I think he understands where the river functions as a resource, and also the water politics that we all have to share with New York City, since they own both of the reservoirs, and with flood control releases. So I think it's good that there's a conference and there's that kind of dialogue.
Yeah, and I noticed that also New York City DEP was part of the discussion. So that kind of brings it all together. Okay, that was something that happened since the last time we met. So follow-ups, the River Management Plan Technical Review. I did read through the whole thing, I did comment on it, and my comments were not technical, they were more just comments. I believe you can access all of this, but I'm not exactly sure how. Where we are with it is, everybody that was invited to comment, you guys got copies, Tony commented, I commented, a couple of UDC representatives did. Lori will collate the whole thing. She will put all the comments into the resource section, so they'll all be there. And then the next step is that she will bring all of this to the full council this Thursday. And that way, what we do is we wind up the scope of work of the grant and pay these consultants for doing what they did. I think they did a good job. I think the review is needed. I think probably the areas that are most important are the things that didn't exist when the plan was done, like cell towers and bridges and, there's a whole section on, this stuff is not even in the plan, that section needs to be addressed.
Right, and my comment that I had written as the alternate to the UDC was, when I looked at their draft, there was no mention of the Supreme Court decision, which had taken 4 years for it to resolve itself in New York regarding home rule. So I think that there's got to be some sort of mention regarding, because the Upper Delaware Council deals with land use issues, local zoning, and I would assume that since they're hiring professional planners to retool this river management plan, which hasn't been retooled probably in about 30 years, that there's got to be some mention of that landmark decision.
And also the zoning.
Which applies to New York.
The zoning ordinances that we did, I suggested that. I said, since we worked on this and other 4 towns worked on it, and we came up with zoning ordinances that were in accordance with the river management plan, that it would be a good resource, as well as the court decision that supported it. So at any rate, that's the RMP, that's where it is. It's certainly going to be ongoing for a while because I don't think there's funding at this point to fully do what they would like to do. I gave scenic byway data to Jane. BioBlitz, I mentioned to you, Carol, about how to get that into hard copy. The cell tower thing is on the agenda, so do you want to talk about it now or later?
We can talk about it now.
All right. Okay. So we all had questions about that, and I spoke to Dick Kami, the Center for Municipal Solutions, CMS, and his feeling was he charges quite a bit of money, we didn't know, to come down and speak to all of us, like over $1,000.
Wow.
So it is possible to share that with other towns, but his solution is to have a conference call. And basically what it boils down to is to have a conference call with a small group that has prepared questions for him, and which he would be happy to answer at no cost. He recommended we have a committee, basically, that is what that would be. Pick a time convenient for everybody on the committee. Have it review his website so that kind of know what he does, and prepare the questions. And if the committee is, and so from there, after the conference call, where it would go is that if we were favorable to hiring him after he answered our questions, he would send a regulation which runs to 18 to 20 pages. It includes provisions for setting up an escrow account to cover the cost of his services. His costs get passed on to the applicant, the same as an applicant to the planning board would pay for an engineering study, pretty much exactly the same. The application fees run in the neighborhood of $5,000, which monies would come into the town whether the project happened or not. We would just get it. Regulation is then customized to meet our needs and is reviewed by our attorney. and then there's a public hearing to adopt. So basically, it's having somebody outside basically draw up a zoning regulation for us, and we decide if we wish to add it, adopt it, or not.
Yeah, I
So.
just think it's an extraordinary amount of money for one aspect of our zoning.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
having them come here.
For the whole thing, I mean, $5,000 or,
Oh, no, that's what we get. That's what we get. That would be the
From-
fee to the applicant.
to the applicant, for any applicant who's applying to put up a cell tower.
Yeah.
So are you talking individual, that an applicant that they wants to put it on their property, or?
No, someone like
the-
Verizon.
Okay,
That's the applicant. The applicant
Okay.
is the company that wants to do the project. Now, it might not be Verizon, they might subcontract to
Right.
another person, but the applicant is the company.
okay.
And the fees are whatever we would choose to set. He's just giving you an example of what the average fees are. My feeling about it is that we should contact, he has worked for the town of Goshen. So basically, we're contracting with him to do work. And even though it's paid for by somebody else, we're still contracting with him.
Right.
So to get in touch with Goshen or get a list of who did you work for, and just basically vet him like you would anybody.
Right,
And the conference call does not cost us anything.
right. Any willing volunteers for this, or does the board wanna pursue this?
I don't think there's enough demand to justify it.
For the cell tower? What are you looking for?
To do this piece of
To
zoning.
have a conference call and ask
And-
questions of this guy. In other words, if you guys have
Ed-
questions,
No, I can't see it.
I don't think I'm smart enough to ask the questions, you know?
I don't think there's enough demand. We're gonna request for cell towers to justify, getting involved in all this.
Yeah, at best, we can have, maybe 2 more in town. Bob and
And
you.
suppose everybody's locating across the river anyhow,
Yeah,
for whatever reasons.
I don't know. What do you thoughts?
Tony wants to do it, let him go.
We can't get any carriers to come in here and put a tower up.
I know.
That's what
And
I'm
if
saying.
you're gonna charge them $5,000,
Yeah, they're gonna really be
they
chuckling.
ain't coming at all.
No.
well, Ed, that will wind up being standard practice, I think, is what it's gonna be. It'll be it's nothing to them. It will be standard practice, because if the town of Highland, which I believe has already raised their fees, raises their fees, all the towns will raise their fees. And there's no reason why you should not. This is Verizon we're talking about, Time Warner. They don't care whether it's 500 or 5,000. But it's up to you guys, because the people that probably know this is Ed would know good questions to ask. Gary might know good questions to ask. Anybody that's worked on zoning or has, a sense of that would be a good person to, be on the committee. And then you have the conversation, and if you don't like the answers, that's it.
Right, I think that's, anybody willing to prepare questions and do a conference
Just
call?
throwing me right under the bus, Tony?
No, you're the chair of the planning board, and I'm sure you've got excellent questions on the conference call. to
Yeah.
ask.
You wanna do the board member on this one?
Sure.
Okay. You got Tony, Ed?
Are you gonna set it up, Sue?
Yeah.
You're gonna set it up?
I'll do
All right.
it, be there.
Okay.
I'll be recording secretary.
There you go.
So you'll set it up, and the conference will be you and myself.
All right,
How's that?
that works.
I think Gary should be in
And
it.
Gary.
How about Gary?
Gary, would you like to join us?
You're throwing me under the bus, I'm taking company.
Everybody's going under the bus.
Okay.
I would never do that.
You got, all right, Gary and
No, just point.
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll wait to hear from you, and then you'll set it up with, is
Well,
it Verizon?
what I'll do is I'll have email addresses for all of you guys, and maybe come up with a date. I'll just pick one out of the air. And then you guys,
I just said a word of advice, I've used the Doodle request. If you go online, Doodle,
That's good.
it sends it out to everybody, and then everybody just picks
Picks
the best times and dates. You set like 5 or 6 dates and times,
Yeah, that's good.
and then everybody, then you can see where it's commonalities.
afternoon, okay, there's a
Doodle.
place.
Yeah.
Afternoon,
It's,
right.
it's good.
So
Renee's
we'll
having
figure out-
breakfast.
Yeah.
I doubt that it would take more than, an hour of your time. But you would need to think of questions for the guy, okay? Because it's not a back and forth, open-ended conversation, it's to ask him questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I add one more thing?
One more thing?
Suppose.
All right, there is two.
Bridge,
The- I'm just gonna add one thing, that was brought up at the, Water Use Resource Management. And it's in the town of Fremont. It's a river access that, Sullivan County had gotten, I believe, $125,000 to have a study on all the New York riverfront accesses. I think this has already been discussed a couple months ago. And the interesting thing is, since we're talking about money, is that there was a willing seller that has a house right next to the access called Ferry Street or Depot Street that goes down to the river that gets used a lot, especially by guides, and there's about 55 guides. You would think that the state of New York, since there was a willing seller, would come and do the lion's share and purchase it, but they did not, and long story short, it was listed on the MLS, and the Delaware Highlands Conservancy is taking the lead in purchasing that from a willing seller to improve that access, and I believe will be sold back to the state of New York. Now, the interesting thing is that they need money. They're getting a low-interest loan from the Open Space Institute to buy this, but they're using crowdfunding, okay, to ask the public for a contribution, whether it's $1, $5, and it's for 45 days. If you go online and go to Google and just type in Long Eddy River Access, you'll see the site. There's a video, and there's also a whole description, you know, that it's being used. It's a beautiful river. And I'm just saying it's an interesting way that she's using the internet and reaching out to the public for whatever you want to call it, crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, and it's the Long Eddy access, and there is a willing seller. There's no eminent domain. It's somebody who is selling the property, which is right next to the road, where the access can be improved upon for parking and for recreational enjoyment.
Cool. Sounds good.
It's a house that got flooded twice in 2005 and 2006. Right, 75 feet of river frontage, but it was listed on the MLS. Everybody knew about it.
Right.
So it's a good thing for anybody that puts in with a boat to.
Well, right now, everybody is parking along the railroad right-of-way, which is not a good thing.
Right.
So here's a way for people to enjoy the river, park safely, and maybe additional revenue will come into Long Eddy and Fremont because there's a couple of restaurants there as well. It's just something that's in the river management plan to improve existing river accesses.
And
Good idea.
The only other thing that's going on is that the New York RDEC is revising their draft open space conservation plan. And it was done in 2009, so this is an update. And it's on their website, if anybody is up for reading about 100 pages of stuff, and it's open for public comment. I have a feeling that it might have something to do with wetlands, possibly, if, you know, folks are concerned about that. It's all there, but I haven't read it, and I'm not thinking I'm gonna delve into the whole 100 pages either. But,
Thank you very
all
much.
right, that's it.
Okay. Beautification. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, okay. The Beautification Committee has continued meeting on the 2015 Sullivan Renaissance Grant and project applications. We've sort of gone for, I think, 2015, another C grant or C award,
Category C.
and we'll see if what comes of that. Basically, the major portions of this project are various improvements to the community garden and a walkway down to the Landers area field at the bottom of the river for better viewing. We are also hoping to do something with repairing and fixing up the bridge abutment that runs under by the feed mill, including the resurfacing of that for possible future decoration of appliques or something like that, and also trying to get some of the weeds out of there and put some maybe flowers to make it a little more attractive. We'll be continuing to work on the upgrading of the Veterans Park gardens, also the Main Street gardens that we were working on this year. And we hope to also have some work done on just the general existing gardens that we have, keeping them up to speed and keeping them, I'm sure most people have noticed that we're trying to give what Renaissance is looking for, which is that it's a year-round improvement, visual improvement, and thanks to Joan Santos, one of the Main Street merchants, you've seen the plethora of pumpkins that have decked the gardens in the fading summer flower area. They've given a nice bit of color to that. We'll be planning to do some decorating of the for the holidays as well along Main Street. So there's a lot going on.
Yes, there is, and it still looks great.
Did I miss anything, Jane?
No, I'm gonna comment a little bit, but Iris?
I have a question. When some of the beautiful, first of all, the flowers and everything are really exceptional. That's period.
Thanks.
The plan that is for the underpass,
Yes.
is there some inclusion of perhaps having it, the scraping and painting on both sides of the rail of the actual pieces that you see?
The metal part.
The metal part,
Yeah.
that is such an eyesore. And as soon, I mean, to have the underneath done, which is really a great thing to do, but there needs to be an inclusion of that as well, because the eye will go there for sure, and so you want to have it, I would think, all-encompassing.
We've had discussions about that, and also repainting at least the bridge that goes over from Bridge Street into town, the railroad overpass. The two sides of that have been pretty chewed up as well from the last time they were painted. We've just had discussions as well about possibly using a bridge scarf that once the underpinnings are repainted and the rust scraped off, you can get these appliques that go over the actual metal, or in this case, the cement on the underpass, that would give you any picture you want. If you wanted to put something like this Narrowsburg wooden bridge scene onto an applique and then put that across the bridge abutments and across the top, that would also beautify it, but those are really long down the road. Right now, we're just hoping that the railroad will live up to their stated agreement that they'll pay for the materials, and that if we'll do the work for the repairs, they'll pay for the materials to do that.
That's my question to the board. Originally, the town was gonna do this, and Carol looked for people to do it and couldn't find anybody. We have located one, possibly two people.
Okay.
The amount is coming in quite high, beyond what beautification's grant will do. So I'm asking if the railroad continues with their half and beautification gives some money, are we willing to come up? Oh, how much money? Oh, you're probably gonna ask me. The first estimate we got was about 7,000?
Ballpark. And
Ballpark,
a lot of these things have been
7,000.
very sketchy. We don't know. They have to look at this damage that's down there. Apparently, it's in two phases, that it has to be just repaired, forget about decorated. And that's gonna be, depending on how extensive the damage that is existing is, how much they'll need to, finish it out so that they can finish the surface. It's a very variable
It's
figure,
nebulous
so,
right now.
yeah.
But I also, maybe you spoke too, spoke to someone else and said the $7,000 seemed right. And they said, if you can get $7,000, go for it. But I said, is that labor? Because they're gonna pay for the materials, and we were supposed to pay. And this person thought it was a half and half. So we're talking about $4,000, maybe. And the beautification cannot pay that much money. I don't think we can commit to that at all. We can
I'm
commit
not
to
so sure
some.
that the town can commit any funds to it because it's on private property.
Right. Not our property.
It's not our town property. So, we need to look at that. And personally, I think that we need to push the railroad harder maybe, because they got chunks of concrete falling down on the sidewalk and on the roadway. It's a
But-
hazard.
But
And if you
truthfully,
take this
Karen.
project
Not.
over, you've assumed
That's
responsibility.
right, and
Right.
liability.
Falls down
No,
later.
no.
Yes,
no.
yes,
Yes, you
yes.
have.
Well, the town would.
Yes,
The
we
town
would.
would, because we have deep pockets. We have taxpayers.
We'll get sued.
Yeah. Beautification committee,
Won't
not
get
gonna get
sued.
sued. You don't have any money.
We're also under the town. The town's getting the grant. I'm gonna check with Jeff on that.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Because it's just beautification. And when the bridge people were here, I asked them about that project, and they said, because the railroad told us they won't do it because it's sound, and
It's structurally sound.
sound, correct.
That's all we
And
care
the
about.
bridge people agreed with that. They said it's structurally sound.
Right.
So the chunks of concrete are structurally sound that
Well,
are falling down on
structurally sound
people?
in that the whole structure isn't gonna fall
Right.
through.
The bridge
But-
won't collapse the way the wall is collapsing.
What we need to get through to the railroad is that it's a danger in that people walking along the sidewalk, cars going underneath that overpass, are subject to having chunks of concrete fall on them.
Well, I
So-
don't
Your
check with
attitude
Jeff.
be sued.
The other thing that I wanted to bring up is, on that project, if you don't mind, Star. We were, as Star mentioned, talking about a walk pathway down Demora Lane. This is because we're trying to implement the master plan for the hamlet. And we talked, the hamlet, master plan talks about a pathway down Demora Lane. We were going to place a bench, as Star said, around the community garden, and we also asked the fire department that has agreed to allow us to place a bench around the backstop area. I spoke with the highway department, Glenn, I'm glad you're back from the bathroom, and talked about a shoulder of some sort for the pathway. The fire department has a meeting coming up. And so we talked about this year, we wouldn't be able to afford a beautiful treatment of it, but maybe wood chips. So maybe put, what's that word I keep forgetting? A barrier to hold the wood chips and then
Okay.
just wood chips. I spoke, this is for you, Art, for your meeting. I spoke to Jeff Clementi today regarding responsibility for any falling or whatever, liability responsibility, because I thought that might come up at your meeting. And he said that, well, we could measure, that could be all town property that we're talking about technically. And he said he didn't think that there was any additional liability because the town has insurance anyway. So, and Glenn from the highway department said it was okay as long as we stay on grade and everything doesn't drift down. Did I say anything bad?
But yeah, keep going.
Well, no, Glenn said that he'd save wood chips for us, however, he suggests going to a sawmill for more evenly sized chips. And that was it, but I mean, this is all a work in progress.
Also, Jane, you're in keeping with implementing the master plan about expanding the walking areas and what have you, we have gotten the Tusten Historical Society to go in half with us to try to put up a plaque, probably by the deck or maybe by the post office, that would actually outline the walking tour that's been, the historical walking tour that's been set up for the town. And then instead of just having them on one plaque with the little pictures there, you would actually set up additional signs at different places to say, you know, this was the original railroad that brought the people in for the tourism that helped the area expand, and this was the original airfield that was down
Yeah.
at these different places, so people could actually go
When they
see
got
what
there
they could see
right.
and then
A
follow
little
the path
information,
around.
right, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it's work in progress.
Excellent, thank you. LDC?
Well, he's not here, but I guess I'm on that committee. We did meet, and we decided to keep going, and there was a survey that was done by Mildred Slane Complexity, and that is being tallied at this time, and that's as far as we got.
Okay. Energy Committee, Brandy.
First, the Energy Committee wants to also say that Karen is invaluable to us. You know, that's just
Hear,
be
hear.
on the record again.
Here, here.
And the second thing, I met with Rick Maloney about the lighting here. And this is all a kind of a patchwork of miscellaneous fixtures that are probably dangerous. They're not. So looking at it in terms of retrofitting them is going to be 3 times more than buying new ones. So we need 39 2x4 foot fixtures. If we now we have T8 12s right now.
Right.
If we get T8s, we're going to save energy. We would have I think 4. Yeah, there'd be 4 bulbs in each one. If you get T5s, it's 3 bulbs in each one. So Rick suggested, you know, you get prices from the electricians, the quotes, asking for both those options. There's also 4 8-foot units in this room too. Maybe one in the bathroom hallway,
Right.
one in there, in the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
So, we just tally that up, and he gave me all the specs about what we need. You guys have allocated some money already,
Yeah,
and then NYSERDA will give us per unit, they'll give us a rebate.
$20
$15 or
Extra, right,
$20
yeah.
a unit. So, and I don't know if that's T8s or T5s, but
Okay.
it gets probably more with T5s.
Right, okay.
Anyway, so, yeah, as I said, I mean, you could ask for the prices to retrofit, but he said it's gonna take 3 times longer for each unit, because you have to do at least 8 different splices, and it's all,
Right.
and it's just not even safe. So, also, we looked at these white panels. We need at least 25 to replace. There's some stainage, there's some
Okay.
rips and animals up there. So, anyway, so then, so I guess you have to put that out just to get quotes from different electricians.
Right.
And they have to use the NYSERDA qualified bulbs and fixtures and the whole thing to get the money. And you have 90 days once after the installation is done to apply for your
Right.
money. Another thing we've done is we had met with the town of Bethel with their energy committee, given them all of our information. Then I met with the town of Delaware, now has an energy committee, gave them all my information. So it's kind of growing the solar energy products in the area. Another thing is, this is the time of year where I drive around and look at all the light outages and the street lights. So if anybody has any lights that are blinking or out anywhere in town, let me know, because it's easier. Sometimes they're on when I come, but they're blinking as soon as I leave. So that's a big waste of energy. And we tell NYSEG, and they don't do it. We do it. We
Right.
tell them.
I was actually Charles and I were talking today, and I was just wondering out loud, is there really a need for all the streetlights that we actually have?
No.
Because I'm like, they illuminate the roads, and you need them at the intersections, and I understand that. But as far as like pedestrians walking and whatnot, it might be more economical to get something similar to what's on the bridge, you know, a decorative light for pedestrian lighting to walk like down Main Street and whatnot, rather than have those huge, and they're just a huge expense every month.
I don't know how you
So-
back into eliminating certain ones, because some people feel safe because they have the light. Other people think it's light pollution, they want them out. And
Right.
some, we could have motion detectors on some. This blinking on and off stuff, that's horrible. The motion detector wouldn't do that all night, but all these faulty bulbs, and they don't ever keep track of anything.
Right.
And then they drag their feet once I tell them to come
Right,
and
to
look
come
at
and
it. So,
replace them.
you know, we have over 100 streetlights in Narrowsburg. I think
Yeah.
that's excessive. I don't know why we need all of them, but we could review which ones could be eliminated with, you know, with the board and NYSEG and all that stuff.
Right, maybe run it by the residents on each street or something,
Yeah.
you know, would you mind if we took these
Yeah.
Well,
out?
not on my street.
Pardon?
Not on my street, do the
There's none on your
next street.
street?
See, that's
Yeah,
what's
good
gonna
point,
happen. And not on my street. Anyway,
You like your street lights?
Give them all
Especially
flashlights.
when the bears walk
Okay, where are you at?
in the flats.
Delaware.
In the flats, okay.
Is
And they
Tusten,
do.
is Tusten receiving
And
any kind
Bull.
of
There's my
referral
name.
fee
And
from
the
all the
streetlights.
work that your great energy committee has done, all the proprietary information?
We're all volunteer.
Yeah.
So you're just spreading the gospel to Bethel and Delaware?
Yeah.
Make it easier for someone else, I mean,
Right.
why reinvent the
Let's
wheel?
share information, exactly, that's what we're about.
The solar project
The more
Bernie's
you
asking
give,
is,
the more you get
it's-
back.
oh,
Here, here, exactly.
The solar project's in the hands of the attorney and the supervisor.
Yeah, we have an
Have they
update on
started?
that.
They haven't updated it,
Yeah.
no, I mean, it hasn't started because they haven't,
Oh.
they haven't finished the
Oh.
contract. And then, of course, Nicole's on top of all that, corresponding with the solar company and everything. I would assume they're gonna do it in the spring. I mean, I don't know, I haven't talked to anybody what your timeline is, but it's out of our hands now.
Right.
So, anyway, and then, we discussed getting, a NYSERDA, audit of the town building, so now Star is gonna take over that
Thank you,
explanation.
Well, after we had learned that we were not going to be able to get the free audit done that we thought we could through NYSERDA, we switched back over to the Flex Tech program under NYSERDA, which would pay up to, and I underline the up to because we don't know that they do that, up to 50% of the cost of an audit, and then whatever subsequent repairs that were recommended, they would pay portions of that as well. We were able to get, I was asked to look into possibly getting a local contractor or someone else to come in and do an energy audit, and we did get Ken Wisman of Alternative Energy Solutions, and he partnered up with Gordon Smith, who submitted one of the solar project bids, to come in. I thought they were going to give us an estimate of what the audit would cost. What they did was actually do an energy audit for the town hall building and theater complex. And the cost of that is $450, the caveat being that nothing would be paid to them until and unless the board reviewed what they projected as the needs and had them do the actual work itself for doing the weatherization. They did give us their findings, and there was a very interesting piece of this that there are actually two building areas that would need to be addressed. The town hall building, the basement and the kitchen, and then the theater complex on top of that. The town hall building they found would be the easier and the less expensive of the two to really shape up and create some savings by doing the energy weatherizing and efficiency work. But they said that the theater was virtually an open pavilion. There were gaps of 1.5 inches, 2 inches all around the areas, going straight out, plus a huge vent window in the back where the air just exchanges like it's in a barn.
Right.
So they said that if they wanted to do the whole building as a one piece, it would be very much more expensive to do. They did say they could probably, very probably, just do the town hall building, offices, downstairs here, and the kitchen area very successfully, weatherize that, plug up the drafts for the heat loss, and that would be a lot less expensive without compromising anything by leaving the theater basically the way it is, which is a summer use only type of thing. So they both, Mr. Wisman and Mr. Smith, said that they would be happy to make a presentation of what their audit had found and their suggestions of how that should be addressed to the board, and for your consideration is whether or not you want to go ahead with this or not.
Did they indicate any kind of estimate?
Well, they, obviously, I mean, they don't want to come out with an estimate until
Right, because
they're
we're gonna have to
told
ask
if
for
you're going to do it or not,
If
and
they have specs on what needs to be done,
that would be what they would
then we
present,
need
but
to get 3 quotes.
exactly.
Right.
Basically, what they're saying is that the building needs to be insulated and the drafts plugged up. There was a gale that was coming through when they did the blower test that would power a squadron of, the tall ships, but
It blew the papers off my desk.
there you go,
So
there you
where
go.
are they coming from when they make the presentation? Hopefully we'll invite them to
They,
make the presentation. Where are they
they're
located?
waiting for the board to ask them to.
Right, where are they located? Where are they out of?
Ken is over in the Rock Hill area, Forestburg area, and I don't know where Gordon is, but he has an office right here in Narrowsburg,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, Calhoun, I think.
Okay.
Do you want to bring them to the December meeting?
Sure.
And I just had one other comment about a ongoing problem with the back downspout. CNS Seamless Gutters, Charlie Krull was able to go to the building and assess it, and he's put up he's fixed something back there and put some sort of guards over the drain. He said that we will have to wait to see if that will fix it, the problem, and if not, he will be available to come back to try to do, further work on it. But as of right now, there is a temporary.
Just volunteered that?
Yeah.
Oh, that was very
Yeah,
nice.
but,
Okay.
but, I mean,
Right.
I think at some point he would like to be paid something. That's gonna be a very token amount, but he did wanna just go in there and see what the problem was, assess it, and he felt that he could do these minimal fixes and really do a significant repair to the problem of the flooding and the coming down on the building.
Nice.
I also have, our, community service, person, replacing some of those elbows and stuff that the engineer had made those recommendations. We're getting commercial, grade.
That's who I happened to call, was that man.
Oh, okay, gotcha, okay. So-
Star, so would you be the person reaching out to invite these people for the presentation in December?
I can certainly relay that you're interested in that and
Okay.
have them give you some dates.
And the other thing is this, did you already send the board just their audit, I mean, the PDF file of?
No, no.
Will we get something before they show up?
I would have to ask them, I don't know how they wanna handle it. They just told me that they had done this and this is what it would cost.
Right, but I'm just saying, it would help us, before they make the presentation, for us to have something, just to review
Right.
before they show
So
up.
So you want them for the December meeting
meeting.
and
We don't have to
to
use
have
the
some
meeting.
kind of a
Their audit.
audit results
Right.
to you guys beforehand?
Right, because that way we could go out.
Right.
Okay,
We could
I could do
resolve
that.
that night to, after their presentation, to go out and get 3 quotes for this. Randy?
And just one other thing, I forgot to tell you, for the lighting project down here, the Energy Committee has volunteered to remove all the, I guess also with highway, I'm not sure if you guys are part
Yeah,
of that.
highway and water and sewer,
Removing
we,
these things so they can access
asked
each
before.
light, he said it would be a lot faster and they would save them money, we'll do it,
right,
you know.
okay,
And then replace the old ones while we're up there.
we're good with that?
I guess, what are we doing?
Just helping take all these panels out for the electrician
Oh.
and everything,
We'll help too, he said, he mentioned you guys.
and probably just even while he's here, if he's
Those things just-
unwiring
those
stuff and
things
we're
just
dropping
pop
the
right out.
ballast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to do.
But I mean, if he's unwiring things and dropping that whole fixture out and replacing it, might just behoove us to have a truck here to be taking them out while he's doing them and, taking them right out to trash.
And then
Or
there's gonna be a
recycling.
whole lot of scrap metal, I don't know what we want to do with
Right.
that.
So.
And bulbs.
Watch the fluorescent
Yeah, the
bulbs.
bulbs.
They're dangerous.
Yeah, how do we dispose of those?
You check into it.
Or
Yeah.
talk to county.
Yeah.
You what?
Yeah, talk to the county.
Yeah.
Talk to the
Landfill.
county, yeah, because
And
they're
I really
dangerous.
want everybody to discuss, on the board, the color lighting you guys want. You want warm, daylight, cold, there's a lot of options, and it'll be uniform, which will be great, but, light. Enormous light.
Well, don't break the bulbs.
Yeah.
Put 'em in the trash. Only
Hey.
because it's
Hey,
dangerous.
accidents
Yeah.
happen, that's all I gotta say.
I'm
call it a hazmat team for you.
Yeah, no, I know,
disease.
I know, yeah.
I mean, don't throw them in or whatever.
They explode.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
broken my share of them things over the years.
They cut you.
Broke a hoop.
So,
And Brady, did you email me the specs for the
I
lighting?
did,
Okay, I gotta refine that again, and I gotta get, 2 other quotes,
yes.
so,
But you
yeah,
can factor in
I'll
our
be
home.
playing Darth Vader.
okay, thank you. Norm, would you be willing to, we'll get a quote from Rick, and then we'll get a quote, could you ask the other 2, we have 2 other electricians in
JS,
town?
yeah.
JS and
Yeah, I'll ask
Fair.
him.
Fair,
Fair, I'll ask him.
okay. Just, I'll send you the,
Specs on which one you're
specs,
giving.
yeah, okay. Let's see. Zoning committee, we have, I think I gave you an update on this last meeting. We're gonna go with the county. Heather Jassie's gonna help us with our zoning rewrite, so we're gonna set a meeting, hopefully sometime soon, to get that underway again. Art, I just saw in my, going through the stuff for Chazen before, I just saw an email from you, but I can't open it. It won't let me open it, so. Could you elaborate on that, or do you wanna discuss that tonight, or December's meeting, or?
It was just a notice to the town board with, I spoke to Glenn about this, was, it was a combination of, the drought and the vegetation in Lake Erie. The 2 dry hydrants that the fire department installed last year were unusable.
Okay.
And we believe a big part of the problem is the leakage in the dam. And, you may or may not understand, the hydrant system in town is really not adequate for firefighting purposes. We're limited to 1 hydrant, and it depends on the elevation of that hydrant. So that's why Lake Erie is very important to us. And we always have the option of stringing several lengths of hard suction and a strainer, but it's not the best, especially when there's a lot of vegetation in the water. So we just wanted to, I assumed you were aware it was leaking, but maybe not the potential impact on fire protection, that's all. That's all that was about.
Well, you know, it looks to me like there's some plate, somebody put some plate down alongside of it, and I noticed those plates are bent out towards it. You know, it was something to help seal up the cracks there.
Yeah.
I think what you should do is have, next time you have your town engineer in here, just have him look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what he says.
Yeah.
Not looking to
Well,
replace it.
I know MJS had done some specs or something on it during Peg's term. I found a bunch of emails from them. I called them. We had the potential to get a $2.5 million grant, and that was dropped. So it was never followed up on, and that's what they told me, because I saw a lot of emails from MJS asking for approval to continue on the plans and submit the grant, but supervisor at that time had not gotten back to them and just dropped it, so.
We were under the impression that the floodgate didn't work, but Glenn corrected me on that it is operable. So.
Okay.
But, you know, the leakage is due to a fracture in the concrete itself.
Okay.
So,
There's probably no cheap fix for that anyway, right?
no.
Yeah. Is there any, do you have any dry hydrants in the river? I mean, is that a possibility or no?
No.
No.
Ice would take them out.
Okay, gotcha, right, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Can't figure that.
Now, we
What
can
about
get
Eagles Lake?
Eagles.
I know
There's
there's a
none
dam there too,
currently.
right? But-
There's none currently, no.
Yeah, I mean, that might be just another idea for another source,
Yeah.
right? That's
Well,
close.
yeah, the
I know
town,
you gotta go up the
town
hill.
highway department and the water department have been very good in a lot of the surrounding bodies of water.
Right,
It's just, the reason we went to 2 for Lake Erie is because of Main Street
right.
and
Oh, yeah,
the village
absolutely.
itself.
Yep, yep, sure.
So, we just felt it was
Right there.
important enough to bring it to your attention.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, so, next time we have Wes down, we'll, have him go over that. Lake Erie. Okay, thank you, Art, for bringing that to our attention. Solar energy update, the, contract, Jeffrey and I sat down for a couple hours and went over it, line by line. We have, several different issues, we both had highlighted previously and then put our thoughts together. I have to give them a call. Did you get my email on
I
that?
emailed you right back.
Oh, okay. It's probably in there. I can't open anything right now.
No, I
So, so I'll be talking with them and trying to get a couple of those things straightened out. So as soon as we can get those straightened out with them, then I can go ahead and sign it. TAP grant update, I think we pretty much went over that. The Riverwalk grant funding update. Do you wanna go over that, or?
Well, we kind of talked about it. We said that the 106,000, the state has agreed to reallocate our $106,000 grant to the overlook, to the deck. And it is a 50-50 matching, so we're going forward.
So, I'll get a contract from them eventually. This has to go through, they needed my preliminary approval on this budget, this work program sheet that they sent. So, they put it all in contractual, because they said from the budget that we got from Chazen that we would have a contract with a contractor, and it would be over the 212, because we got the 106 from us and 106 from them, so it would be over that, so we put it all in contractual, so it would be easier to manage the grant like that, she said, so.
I have a comment.
Yep.
We're talking about money, raising money, because
Excuse me.
Larry gave the presentation, we passed the resolution, beautification is giving $25,000, we're getting 106 from the state, so there's a
From the state.
shortfall.
Yes, there is.
So what I had sent to the board was data from the Fed as far as how much it would cost. I think you had spoken to a couple of banks regarding bonding over a period of 20 years.
We've asked 3 banks, yeah.
Right, okay. My point is, and I'll reiterate, that I don't believe interest rates are going to stay low. I think in a year or 2 years from now, they're going to be higher. I think that I had said pre-recession levels on a 20-year, it was something like 4.7. Right now, it's around 2.9. So the thing is, money right now is cheap to borrow, okay? It's a capital project, and I think that when I had asked you, how much does it cost as far as taxes being raised per, what was it, $20,000?
Per 20,000 is about 1%.
Per $20,000. So a rough calculation of, let's say, if you were to get a loan over 20 years at 3.5%, at $170,000 at 20 years, you're talking about $12,000 a year. So you're talking about 1/2 of 1%. That's because interest rates right now, if you could lock in at 3.5%, on a capital project like that, where Mr. Boudreau said, I asked him, how long is this, what is the lifespan of this? He said 75 years. He said the deck visually will be bigger than what it is. He said that instead of having the wooden planking, that you'll basically really have a very good view of the eddy. You know, that was one thing I said, and the other thing when I brought up the long eddy access, here is basically another way that basically you could crowd fund this. How many people have been on that deck? Many people that have passed by Tusten, Narrowsburg, residents. I mean, here's a situation, okay, that you can use crowdfunding and be creative with this, and at the same time get money from the public who has visited Narrowsburg and Tusten before. And you never know, if it's $5,000 that you can raise over a period of 60 days, well, that's $5,000 more than you would have gotten prior to that by using that. And anybody that wants to see this long eddy thing in the video, I've got this right here, so anybody who wants to take a look at it after the meeting, you know.
Also like to say that any individual, I mean, when my kids were small, I took it upon myself to form a playground committee, and we raised funds for the playground, for the town playground, and then what we did, we just gave that money, donated that money that we raised to the town to build the playground. So I mean, any individual can do something like this if they're so inclined. So I don't know whether the LDC wants it. That's another fundraising idea.
We'll
I
put
think
it
it's a
on
good
our
one.
agenda.
And
Nobody else is here.
I'll show you that,
Yeah.
Jane, after the meeting. The video's 2 minutes.
Well, oh, yeah, that is here. But you didn't come
Iris?
to the last meeting.
I don't know how much this would bring, but a couple of us were chatting about winter is coming and a little socialization. We wanted to see if we could do something, have bingo nights or something like that. And so that certainly could be something to help. We were thinking the ambulance.
Yep.
And also perhaps this, so that there are causes that could be funded by this, and so that might be something, a beginning to get people interested of what we need funding for.
Joe did message me on that, and I told her she needed to speak with Nicole about the permits for that and whatnot.
I have the paperwork for the gambling,
Okay.
which you'd have to have for the bingo too.
Right.
But I wanna run it 50-50 at every board meeting through the LDC.
Yep.
big deal because when we did that for our fundraiser for North Sioux, we raised in like an hour and a half, like $500.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
you know, $500 in a short period of time. That's nice.
Yes. So basically what I'll be looking for is to, authorization to sign this contract once it comes in. I think the other thing we need to talk about though is, do we want a bond?
Don't we
The
need an
rest of the money?
estimate? I mean, is anybody gonna bond anything until you have an estimate?
No, but I mean,
Well, we
we're
sort
looking
of
at,
do have an estimate.
we have, 2.5% from, it's not Bank of America anymore, who are they?
Delaware.
Delaware.
NBDC.
Yeah, NBDC, thank you.
They're giving you 2.5%?
2.5 bonding. He said that that might increase at the time that we do it, but that's the figure that he's given now.
Is that fixed?
That's, yes, yeah, 2.5. And that's a 20-year.
That's great.
So, yeah, that's cheap money. So we are currently completely 100% debt-free. I think we're one of the only towns that are completely debt-free. We've been debt-free for several years now.
So why don't we do it in it if we don't, if the project falls through, you can always pay it back.
True, but, well, I don't know
Just
what
get
they
a
would
commitment
require for the
for it.
bonding.
You just
Yeah.
want a commitment, that's all
Just
you
get a
want for a
commitment.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have no problem getting a commitment for the money.
so,
Okay.
so everybody's on board with
Absolutely.
bonding?
Yeah.
So, yes, for the rest of the project?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I also wanted to know that, you know, I mean, we wanna move forward with this, once we get everything from Chazen, and then we can go out to bid over the winter, so that we can begin a spring project.
Right,
That's
I'm
what we'd
on
really
board
like
with
to
the bonding.
do.
I think 2.5% is great. I'd still like to also entertain this, because there's been plenty of people that have come
Well,
through this, you know.
This is the other
right.
thing, if we bond the money, you can also, if fundraising is taking place over the period of the bond.
Yeah.
If people are raising money for the deck project, that can be
Yeah,
paid
yeah,
back to the bank
Yeah, that's
in an
right.
earlier fashion, so I
That's
mean,
what I meant.
it's nothing that's gonna hurt us.
Right,
So we can go ahead with the bond.
right.
So, we can't do a resolution right now though, because we don't have solid numbers,
No,
so, yeah,
that's good, we have a solid number.
yeah, so.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, so we'll get solid numbers from Larry, and then, well, which we kind of have, but let's get everything and get our CDs and whatnot, and then we can resolve to go out
Okay.
for a bond. Dog kennel update. Mr. Amberback has been very gracious and, has taken under this project voluntarily. A little arm bending. But, Gary's, contacted Lava Towing. They came down, had a little difficulty, got it up on the one tow bed and discovered that there was wires out there they had to deal with, so they had to bring the lower truck down. They've got it up there now. And you got some supplies ordered from the lumber company.
Yes,
And-
and today, with the help of highway crew and Keith Budenhagen, we were able to get the thing placed where it needs to be, and now it's just a matter of putting insulation in, putting surface on the interior walls, and we're gonna have to get fencing for it, for the dogs and such, and lighting and all that, but it is coming together. So now it's in the place. That was the hardest thing, getting it there from the sewer department, sewer plant to the town barn area. But it's there now, and it's in place, and it's just a matter of
And now we can
finishing
get
it off.
started on it.
So we'll have a dog
Yeah,
kennel.
Gary and Mike Delaney have volunteered, and Ben Johnson have volunteered to help. And-
I'm sure you've seen it, Sheriff Parks has been, her and Ronnie been putting on, 'cause some guys got fencing for sale down towards Berryville or someplace.
I think I contacted her, I thought that was gone. Well,
Yeah, I thought at one time, cause I contacted her about the 6-foot stuff, and she had said something about it was gone, but then she had put something on there about having more 6-foot stuff,
Oh, okay,
so.
I will contact her then, okay.
I think it was all new fencing the guy had purchased for a reason, and then all of a sudden he couldn't go through it, and he needs the money or something, so he's
Okay.
selling it.
Was Lava Towing and Keith Budenhagen's work in kind?
Yes.
I
Well,
don't know
not
about
lava
lava
towing.
towing, I think they're gonna build this, but Keith did it for you.
Yeah, Frank?
Gary, is the door kennel for cats too?
No, just dogs.
There's a big problem with cats here.
Yeah, I know, and, we have volunteers that are actually working on that.
Yeah.
Still, there's a big problem.
Yeah, I just spoke to the one lady today, said they've done over 50 cats. So, yeah.
I got a question on that.
They nick the ear.
Yeah.
So that you know that if you see a
That one's
cat with a
done.
little nicked ear, they've
Right.
been spayed
She figures they've
and
got another 50 to go.
neutered or whatever.
It should be euthanizing. That's my total answer on it. I have a problem with this, catching cats, fixing them and putting them back out. It's illegal for me to take a cat down the road and throw it out my car window. They're catching the cat, they're having the cat fixed, and they're driving down the road and throwing the cat back out the window.
No,
No.
Putting it back where it was.
They put it back where they
Right.
got it from. It's trap, neuter, and release.
Right, but that cat was put there, somebody dropped the cat off.
Absolutely.
And now what they're doing is catching it, they're fixing it, and then they're putting it back.
So it won't
So
make
the same thing as dropping it off
16,000
again.
more kittens.
They're dropping it off again.
But they've stopped the cycle
Right,
of
the cycle of the
replicating
kittens.
exponentially
And
the
there have
cat
been a lot of
population.
cats that have been adopted as well from them.
Yeah.
And they keep them for like 48 hours before they release them back to where they pick them up. And like I said, the ears are nicked.
Glenn, no agency will take them, no people will take them
That's why they should be euthanized.
to euthanize them. They won't do it
The
because it costs
Audubon
money.
Society has a lot of problem with cats. In some states, there's actually songbirds that are almost extinct because of the damn cats.
I'm just telling you, they will not take them to euthanize them because it costs money, and nobody wants to pay the money to do that. So it's
We don't
easier to
have the
throw them out the
authorization to
window
do
and
it.
let them die that way.
$28,
Okay,
22 shells.
so, moving on. Community service work
We
update.
could build a
That's been
a
going.
cat house.
Okay, thanks, Bernie. The community service has been going, quite well. We've got the records room, shaping up now for Nicole. Did you find anything out on the
As
shelving?
they get older, they die home.
122
Yeah, there
For
you
one
go.
per
I
unit?
got
per
it.
unit.
Okay.
That's like the
Is that
median.
delivered or?
No,
No.
no, I haven't ordered anything
Okay,
yet.
check,
because
check Sam's Club too.
That's Sam's Club.
That is.
Sometimes I
Sam's
miss
Yeah,
the
I was looking on
kittens.
They went
Amazon
up.
too.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
There's plenty more.
Cause we didn't
It
send,
depends on what kind of style that I want,
right,
like match what's there, or get the stainless steel heavy
right,
duty stuff.
yeah.
But I'm
So,
down from 14
okay,
cats
so,
to 2.
you know, how many units are you gonna get?
I think I can fit one, six, but
Six.
I have two down there, so maybe.
Okay, and they're adjustable shelving?
Yeah.
Okay, because the bottom one's gonna have to be
Usually I
moved
get
up,
them this
yeah,
time of year
so
when the
that we
camp
can
closes, 'cause it's getting
eliminate
ready for the
flood
summer.
Yes.
repercussions again. So he's cleaned it up down there, painted some, fixed the sheetrock, taken out the sheetrock that was damaged from the flood, put new sheetrock in, taped it, spackled, painted, and it's just sweeping it out, mopping it out, and cleaning everything up so it's presentable. Not sure if the dehumidifier's working properly or not, so.
He said it wasn't.
He said it wasn't, so, I don't know, I need somebody with more mechanical expertise. If any gentlemen are willing to check out a dehumidifier. Check that out and see if we can get it working. Nicole's gonna get some shelving, put that in, and then we'll have him remove all the records from the back room, the pod back there, and get everything taken care of and spruced up. He's gonna be working on a couple spots on the roof, caulking it rather than going, he said the shingles up there are pretty brittle, so he doesn't wanna try to put new shingles underneath because he feels they'll
They'll
just break,
fall
so
apart.
he just wants to caulk over this couple spots that we have. He's gonna be working on those gutters in the back, and then we're gonna start, he may be helping Gary with the dog shed, we're not sure, and then start back here in the court records room and get that cleaned up.
You're
and
gonna
then
have to
go-
close that door upstairs.
Yes, I forgot about that. Remind me next time he's here, okay? We got the theater door. It's propped open a little bit upstairs, and,
Well, it sucked open when the guy put the
yeah.
vacuum cleaner in there.
So we need to close that so we're not losing so much heat up there.
And under old business, want to still remind you, get that letter out as soon as we can to the DPW commissioner with a copy of that resolution and the map.
Right, that's Nicole's
Right,
gonna do that,
and
right?
get it as soon as they, because he said, as soon as he gets it, he wants to get it so they can get down here before they go into winter season
Okay.
completely.
Gotcha. Could you just notify us when that's completed? Sure. Okay, thank you. Plastic bag ordinance discussion?
I went to PEX and spoke to PEX about plastic bag ordinance, and they said that would be prohibitively expensive for them. It is the largest inventory item that they have. They're making, they're trying to instruct their cashiers to use less plastic bags and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, what I asked him then, since I was crestfallen once again, I asked if we could enter into a campaign, I just wanted to get board approval, a campaign to reduce the usage of plastic bags and encourage the usage of reusable bags. And in that, we maybe me, would work with them and have a committee to instruct the cashiers, and instead of just using plastic bags, to say, did you bring your recyclable bag? Would you like to purchase one? Maybe a banner on outside PEX that says Tusten is a climate smart, or whatever we are, community, and PEX cares, or something like that. So I just wanted permission to go ahead with that.
Sounds good to me.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oops, look at those two hands. Interest,
Make sure you turn your
volunteers.
reusable
Maybe
bag
they should
inside
give
out
you
for
a
the washing
dime
machine.
instead of 3 cents, 10 cents for every bag.
Well,
They might encourage people using their own bags.
That's what I was going to say,
Oh,
okay.
give one.
I wasn't gonna say that. I did not even know that they had paper bags. They do not make that.
They claim if they switch to paper bags, it would be $20,000 increase. He at first said that it was 5 times the expense, a paper bag versus a plastic bag. I was shocked. And I said, wait a second, you can get twice as much in a paper bag than you can. Okay, he reduced that to twice as much. But what they have done, to give PEX credit, is they've switched their plastic bags to those that have been made from plastic bags. So they have been recycled already once, and they have the bin there that they
What
encourage.
about, however, they have the bin for everybody to put their plastic bags in? What about if people took plastic bags from there to pack their groceries in?
And getting the
You-
sanitation.
Reuse those.
Yeah, that's sanitation. I put everything in there, but I wash it. Yes,
That's what you
Brandy?
used to pick up the dog poop, is the plastic bag.
Yeah, I'd recycle it.
I'm sorry.
Encourage recycling.
Wait, Bernie, Brandy's talking.
Do they say that they would ask the cashiers, paper or plastic, if they could say that, or?
Well,
have you brought your own?
I didn't push that further because I said, can we have a campaign and work together with you? And Bill said yes, and I spoke to Jeff. I spoke to both Bill and Jeff, because when one told me the price, I sort of didn't believe it, but the other
Oh,
confirmed.
go for Lee, go for Lee.
Go for Lee.
Yeah,
I don't know who Lee
go
is.
talk to Lee, he's the one's telling them that all the stores are doing very poorly
Oh,
right
Lee, right. Well, whatever.
Just as a
Okay.
point of interest, we have one of those bags they sell to bring the frozen food home in. It's hot or cold.
Insulated.
I found black mold in the bottom of the bag.
Yep.
Because of the moisture that drips off the containers, goes in the bag and it starts making mold.
Crevices and stuff, it starts forming.
Well, we're not here to pick on pets, as long as you give me.
Well, that's the only market you got to do this to,
Right.
so.
If you give me permission, I'll organize a
Go for
group.
I would expect to see Main Street equally well indulged in this.
Okay,
No, Main Street, a lot of the businesses already have.
Okay.
A lot of them are using paper rather than plastic.
yes, I spoke to them as well.
Yep.
And the only person that there's, okay, go ahead. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Meeting with PennDOT with no update there.
Well, except that where the letter.
The letter, oh, right, yes, I'm sorry.
So I liked what, the additions that Tony made, and Ned made a good point, it shouldn't be in July and August. I actually spoke today when I was talking to the top grant guy, and he knows all about that bridge. And he was surprised to hear that it had to be closed, but he said it won't be, it would be closed.
And they're only gonna do it like they said, nights and weekends, it's not gonna, it's only that one piece underneath.
Yeah.
When they're working on that, that's when they need to close it. So my proposition is to ask them to close it only at night,
Well, except that.
and no weekends.
Well, but except that that's when the ambulances have to go across too.
Yeah, but I mean, it has to be closed at some point.
Well, I asked them if they're working on it and an ambulance has to get through, can they get through? And he thought probably maybe they could.
Not if the middle of the bridge is.
No, not the middle of the bridge is gone.
You better go very fast.
Rev it up real fast. Give me a ring.
I got it. Well, anyway, but, so should we send out
Put the
that letter?
ambulance in and just.
Yeah, so I want to
You
just
have
add those hours to it, and,
The other problem you got.
and then
with
I
closing
have it,
this-
so, yeah.
Something out
We don't
You're
need a
gonna sign it.
resolution,
Better
yeah, I'll
false
sign
if
it.
they're
so-
much
Okay.
better.
I
Better
wanna
false
add,
should be
I'll
closed
send
right
you
now.
the
Don't talk about
total,
They have
what we
pieces that
have
go
all
this way,
agreed
all the
on,
way
because
up.
I
Okay.
have to, besides
They have to
Tony's
replace,
edits,
the only
I
way
wanna
to do that
add
is
Ned's
close the bridge.
edits, and then
Right.
send it off.
The July and August though, I don't think they're gonna go for that. They only have like a 4-month window in which
You're
to
allowed to
do
work over water,
construction.
you're only allowed
No,
so
but
many
the
days
only,
by
the only
state
July
law.
and August thing is not to close it then. I
Well, like
think.
I said, they only have so many months to work on the bridge anyway.
Janet, they're locked, Jane, they're locked into a cycle. Is it May 15th to October
October
2nd? October
Yeah.
1st? That's the only time you're allowed to work over water. And that's it.
Okay, they don't have to close it all the time for
Well, if you're
everything.
gonna
No,
drop
I
that
don't
one
think it's
piece
gonna be
in,
closed all the time. That's not what they're talking
No,
about.
it's
They're
gonna drop.
talking
Well, they
about
can
one
say it
lane
and they
most
can
of the
tell us- They're
time.
gonna tell us, they're gonna come back and say something.
But what,
So-
you're led to believe that it's one lane most of the time,
Most of the time, when
Closure
they're
when?
working on that underneath beam, that
but,
beam.
but
that goes across.
closure when?
When
Would you
they
say?
replace those.
They were,
crossings.
they
Middle of the
said
night?
initially nights and weekends.
You wanna
I'd
try
like them
explaining
to
again,
limit
Ed?
it to
You wanna
nights.
try explaining it again?
They can do weekends, but only at
I
night.
said it'd only be hours.
Because that way
That's
you're
if
not
everything
interrupting the
works out right.
workday, you're not interrupting commerce. You're not affecting the businesses on Main Street, you're not affecting commerce.
This is what I would like, okay? Jane wrote a draft, okay?
Right.
Jane wrote a draft letter,
Yeah.
okay? I then made a second draft, okay, that the board received, okay? If the board would like this letter sent out, okay, I think it should be sent out to those copied, especially Chris Gibson, okay?
Yes, oh
It's,
yeah,
it's,
yep.
it's an interstate bridge. I'm of the opinion, like I said it a month ago, I think that, you know, they can do the work without complete closure of the bridge. That's my
I
opinion.
don't
They
think that
can't.
ever happened.
How do you know?
There's gonna be a
I asked
portion of the
them.
bridge where there will be no bridge.
Right.
I spoke with
Tony,
the
several
engineers
Several
that
side
night.
rails.
Tony, you ever worked around steel and stuff like that?
No, I have
No,
not.
you have to do it that way.
It's a one
for
piece that runs
structurally
all the way across the
integrity.
bridge.
Yeah,
So
one
you're
piece
saying
goes
that they're
in.
going to totally dismantle the bridge and there's gonna be a gap in the
There's gonna
bridge?
be- Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna, the bridge, here's the bridge. They have pieces that cross it like this, that the deck sits on. The pieces that cross like this are gone.
Yeah, for what, for 4 hours?
No, they're rotted out.
No, but if you're saying that they're gonna dismantle the bridge
Yeah.
and there's gonna be a gap,
Yeah,
and there's gonna be a gap so that nobody can go across on
Right.
both lanes,
right.
right, for how many hours?
They have to take up all the decking to put these new pieces in.
And take
That
them
sounds like a
Right,
long
and they're
process.
doing
It
one
is, it's a
side
big,
at
good sized
time.
project.
They're doing one side at a time. When I spoke to the engineer that night, they're doing one side at a time to replace the decking.
Okay,
There are one or two, you're saying two, he
Two.
told me one, structural pieces underneath, I don't know what to call it,
They're cross members.
that need to be worked on. He said not replaced, but worked on. But when they're working on those, that is when they have to close the entire bridge because the integrity of the bridge is not safe to go over at that point for anybody.
New York State thought it was one, too.
So,
so they have to close the,
Did
br-
they give
If you
you
look at
any
that plan, it'll
idea?
show two, I
Because
gave you.
when one says nights and weekends, there are a lot of nights and there are a lot of weekends. Did they give you any concept or any idea of how many nights or how many weekends? Is there some way to find out,
No.
at least an approximation?
No, Because when you do a project like that,
You don't know
just
what
you don't know
know.
what's gonna happen until you start doing the project. Right. You could be moving along at record speed and all of a sudden, bang, wow, look what we just found.
That's right.
And it
But
stops you
but
dead
our
right
letter,
there.
Iris asks that we have
Right.
pre-notification so that our emergency services know.
Which they already agreed to. I had already asked them that. I had outlined a huge list for them. I sent them all my concerns. It was like a full page of stuff. And my number one priority was ambulance and fire. And secondary to that are commerce and transportation back and forth to the hospital for residents. I said, that is our hospital. Most residents here in Narrowsburg use the Honesdale Hospital. That's where the ambulance transports most of our patients. And mutual aid between Beach Lake and Narrowsburg on both counts. So those were my top priorities. So they're very aware. They said absolutely we would have pre-notification of any time the bridge was closed. So I said it may be that we had to have another ambulance over on the other side of the bridge. So I explained all this to them, put it in writing. They have those comments, and now we're going to follow up with this letter. I'm sure I'll be speaking with them on the phone. They're in the design stage right now, so this is not
Right, but at the same time, the letter, Jane? Hey,
Yes.
Jane, I still think this letter should go out, and it should also go out to our elected officials as well.
Absolutely, yes.
Especially since PennDOT is taking the lead. We live in New York. The reason why Gibson should be included in this is
Yep.
because he's our federal representative. So if he has to reach out to the reps in Pennsylvania.
Nobody's arguing with you. I'm gonna send
Well,
them.
no, I'm basically, still don't understand why the bridge has to be closed for both lanes. I said that last month. I'm not resigned like you are to thinking that, the bridge is gonna be closed and there's nothing that the town can do about it. Now, whether they wanted to throw this into the trash can, they can certainly do that, but I also think that, wait, can I finish? I think that the town should be on record by saying it's not acceptable, okay, because we have a fair amount of elderly people here. Most of the people are using Honesdale medical facilities if there's any kind of accident, if they need facilities, and accidents happen at 2 in the morning as well as 2 in the
I
afternoon.
agree with you 100%, but construction,
Does it
you-
work like that?
there's things you can.
Whether it works like that or not, it's our
Right.
responsibility
Yes,
to
it does,
basically
but
go
there's
on record,
reality
that's
here.
all.
Okay.
All right, so the letter,
We're gonna send the letter out,
I'll
and we'll
send
see
it.
what we get back.
I'll send the letter to Carol, who'll send the letter and all the copies out. Okay.
JCAP, grant submitted for the washroom renovations, robes, and copier and printer. So that's been submitted.
Okay.
Dog control officer, we did appoint Gary as dog control
we did that
officer
last
last time?
time.
Okay. What we didn't do though is, we didn't accept Mike Cookingham's resignation. Now, we didn't get anything formally in writing.
Well,
So-
we can't really do anything until we get something formally in writing, really.
So it's
Send
gotta
him a
be-
resignation letter.
There's gotta be something you can
See if
do. I
we'll
mean, the
sign
guy who says he ain't doing it no more, why?
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
I
we
don't
can
know.
accept
We
his
just
oral
enter-
resignation.
Okay, just enter in a minute that he
Unemployment.
resigned as such and such a date,
Yeah.
that's all.
So,
We gotta put something in someplace in writing to say, do the
Right.
next appointment.
and Gary was appointed the last meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that's
Can't
done.
we just write up a little something and just give it to him to sign it?
We could.
That would be the best thing to do. Right?
There's still a lot of traffic across that bridge with heavy,
We're past that point, Bernie.
heavy
Past it, Bernie.
We're up to a dog catcher now.
cat house.
We could make money with that.
Feed trucks.
10
One-
cents a
One
dance.
lane is only open. Feed trucks, logging trucks. There's gotta be a tremendous amount of stress on that bridge at the moment.
Okay, go ahead.
Any other public comment?
Wait, I actually wanted to add something that I didn't tell anybody about.
Okay.
Okay. I wanted again, I'm trying, I think that we as a board, rather, not me, we as a board should keep in mind that we have a master plan for the hamlet, and we should consider that and keep moving forward as much. Anyway, I would like permission to explore, cost zero, exploration, the notion of having some senior housing built down by PEX, which is what the master plan talks about. I called today, but got no answer. The State Housing Authority or something like that for grants or for ways to do it, because I don't know how to do it. I spoke to Larry about it, and he knows somebody, which he's gonna email me, who does these projects, finds a developer and does it. I've spoken to the property owner about if the property owner is willing to sell the land, and the property owner agreed to do that. So may I go further with this?
Oh, go ahead.
Sure.
I think that's neat.
Larry, you're so good.
No, I always told you senior housing, senior housing was something you needed.
You do need it.
We do need it, so, okay, so I can
Get an
explore
elderly
that.
parent and try to place them someplace and you'll find out. You really do.
Explore away.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking nursing home, I'm
What
talking
do you-
like over 55.
What do you plan on doing, moving Narrowsburg home just closer to Pex, keep them off the road?
I'm talking about affordable apartments.
Most of them are seniors.
Well, good, we're gonna have housing, no
Over
kitty cats.
55 independent
Where,
living,
whereabouts would you put them?
right in the on the land next to Peck's.
Next to the cemetery.
Yeah, next to the cemetery.
Well, shoot, what land next to Peck's?
Next to, there's Peck's, it goes from 97 over to Kirk Road, right by the
car wash.
The car wash.
Well, you can wash them implements and all this.
Are there houses there already? or-
There's one house there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
On that thought.
Public comment.
Yes, please.
Star and then Ed.
Well, I can only assume that the people who are having such a jolly time with the senior housing have never had parents or other relatives that
Been there,
they've
Star.
needed
We
some
got that
kind of
on the
assisted
paper.
living for. But anyway, I'm going to be working the election tomorrow, and I'd like to urge everyone, please, if you are coming out to vote, please, please, please look at the proposals that are on the ballot this year. There are some very important issues that are being decided, and it really behooves everyone to vote on those as well as officers that they might be.
The other night, I couldn't read. I gotta put another pair of glasses over my contacts to actually read them. It's funny, you never hear about the propositions like that.
No,
There were several articles
Yeah, there was
written
some
up
article
on
about the
proposal
the
one.
redistricting.
Yeah.
Bruce Ferguson put out a very good summary on that one, and also about the school funding. Another group from New Paltz, SUNY New Paltz, put out 8 reasons why they felt that this should not be approved, and there were some pretty cogent arguments there. If you go online, there's the League of Women Voters and Common Cause that have summaries, and those are things that people could look at. I think there was also something up in the Times Herald Record yesterday or the day before.
I would like to formally thank Ben Johnson and Narrowsburg Motors for the donation of the file cabinet, and have that reflect in the minutes.
Board thanks them as well.
It saved the town about $1,000.
Yes, it did.
I have a question for you, Ed. I had a couple of veterans jump on me about the one flag up on County Road 24 with the Harley Davidson onto it.
It's on private property, there's nothing.
Yeah, I know, that's why I
There's
basically
nothing
told
we
him, I
can
said,
do.
nothing
I don't
we can
like
do
it
about
either.
No,
Where's 24?
Bridge Street.
Oh,
It's whatchamacallit's old house.
Parker.
Hawker's old house, yeah. It's the same as I hate seeing an American flag with a peace sign on it.
Well, it's, got some
Or
of
his
the jump on
clothing.
me.
Or his clothing.
Yeah, so they mentioned it to me, I said, I didn't think there was
Yeah.
anything.
Brian?
This has been going on for a long time. We ever gonna get zoning written in the town of Tusten?
Yeah, we went over that before. We gotta set a meeting probably the end of November
I
to
mean,
start.
it's like a town without laws.
No, we have
We
them.
have
We have zoning.
Zoning, Bernie?
Yeah, but they've been writing this for the last year and a half.
It's like updating, not.
No, but,
Yeah.
and the last guy that was doing it, I understand he got paid quite a bit of money and never completed it.
Well, it was finished as far as his contract was concerned, so.
We've hired somebody new.
We had to change a few things because of public comments and whatnot, and because we have the time constraints, then we had to go back out for public hearing. So now, because we have to still go through another public hearing, we decided that there were other issues that we were gonna take care of, and then the next time we did this, so we're just gonna do everything in one shot and have one public hearing and be done with it. Glenn?
I'd just like to ask Ed, I can take the flags down around town after Veterans Day?
Right after Veterans Day, yes, thank you.
Okay.
Brandy, did you have something? Anybody else? We're good? I just have one comment that I would like to make, and this is just a general comment, it's nothing to do about town, but I drive school bus as well, and the things that I see go on the road are absolutely horrible. I just want everybody to be aware, and anybody who sees this video to be aware of school buses. When the stoplights are out, you need to stop. When the yellows are out, it means slow down and be prepared to stop. It means the bus is getting ready to either drop off students or pick up students. When you see a bus with their yellow lights, slow down, stop. I, as a driver, am not going to release any child across that street while a vehicle is still creeping up. Albeit little at a time, that vehicle is still moving. I refuse to, and any drivers will not release a student across the road unless the vehicle is completely stopped.
People don't do it.
Oh, every day. And I had somebody this morning, I had not closed the door, I just got, the door started to close, and they were, because they saw the student on the bus, they started to go through. And I'm like, then my lights were off, and I'm like, I beeped the horn, I'm like, you need to stop. Law is you cannot start your vehicle moving again until the bus is moving. Even though the lights are off, the bus has to be moving in order for you to move forward. So that's just my thing. It's been really bugging me. I've had people go through my reds lately and everything else, so it's dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. The school bus stop is the most dangerous part of a student's day, and the most dangerous part of their ride to school.
Do you got cameras on the bus or stuff like that?
We have 4.
Do you have any aimed at traffic though?
Yes, there's one out the front, one down the side. I've had somebody come around the side of my bus, and that was on tape and was reported to the state police. Unfortunately, I think that individual pled down and was never prosecuted for what they did.
Maybe they should reiterate them in the paper again, those laws, and that a person that gets convicted of that faces a considerable fine and loss of license.
Well, running a school bus at stoplight is 5 points on your license. That's considerable.
Maybe.
And it should be, it's 5 points.
Put it back in,
Is there anything
they should
about
put it in the
veterans?
paper.
Advertise that.
Every so often.
Yeah.
They just changed the law on the cell phones too.
Tony?
Are we in board comment?
Yeah, on board comment.
I mean, they really jacked that up.
You are, we didn't do the consent agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
You wanna do the
Sorry.
consent
Let's do
agenda
the
and then do
consent
board
agenda,
comment?
yes, I'm sorry.
I move we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Which includes the adoption of the budget, so thank you very much, everybody.
Yes.
Board comment?
Yes.
All right, we're into 2 hours and 40 minutes. I would be amiss because I had promised last month to do a before and after composite. I've already sent this to the board. This is regarding the Main Street parking lot, how it can be improved, because many people say there's lack of parking in the town, especially in the spring, summer, and fall months. So we can discuss this next month,
Yes.
or we can discuss this on whenever, December 9th or the next time. But you've got a before and after in
Yes,
this
thank you.
way
Thank
to
you very
improve that.
One other thing, these big trucks, when they come in Main Street, they take sometimes there's a space for them to pull in, but it would be maybe 50 feet from where they want to make the drop. So they park right in the middle. Right in the middle. Maybe some of these stores should be advised to tell these drivers to pull over on the side when they make a delivery if there is a place.
We will try to address that, Bernie. That's also a state,
Nice.
it's a big police issue.
I
Because
mean,
you can't it's not legal to double park, so.
it's just
try
like,
giving a couple
you know,
tickets.
right there right in the middle of the street.
Yeah, gotcha.
Maybe they'll be there
Thank
for
you.
10, 15 minutes.
Board comment, Jane?
No, hunky-dory,
Norm?
happy.
Nothing, I've said it all.
Did you need
Heard
to,
enough.
did you set a time for your 13th?
No, we did not yet, so,
Excellent.
that's next. I have one more comment. I would just like to thank the board for the easiest sessions in budgets that we've ever had.
Yes.
I mean, 3 hours total, and the budget was done. Everybody did their homework. They read everything that we sent out, and I appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
Put my glasses away and everything.
Any more public comment?
No.
No. Okay. Motion to recess to November 13th. We need to pay the bills. This meeting was too early to pay the bills, and the water and sewer re-levies will be on there. So we have to wait till the 13th to do that. So, what time would everybody, it's
Well,
everybody's pleasure. We can do during the day or at night. That's the only two things on their agenda.
daytime only is the only time I have available.
What time?
Daytime.
Daytime? Okay.
I have a 4 o'clock and a
Pardon?
5:30.
I can't do the 13th at all.
You can't do the 13th
I'm
at all?
out of town,
You're
30
out of
hours.
14th?
14th I can do,
Okay, how about the 14th, folks?
But I have 14.
What day of the week is it?
Friday.
Yeah, I could do 14 during the day.
Okay.
So what time?
10 a.m.?
That's
Sound
smart.
good? 10 a.m.?
Fine.
Let me just check something.
Carol, if I could get Ken and Gordon to come for that meeting, would that be good for a presentation, or no, it has to be a full?
That's
Should
fine.
be a regular
It's
meeting,
10
yeah.
o'clock, 10 o'clock.
What is the
Friday.
December date?
Yeah.
Ooh, I wrote 10.
The 9th,
The 9th, thank you.
So 10 o'clock, Friday the 14th.
correct.
Okay.
This is still Friday the 13th.
We always know, the time works.
Okay.
Friday the
10 a.m.
14th.
Yep. And I make a motion to recess to Friday, November 14th at 10 a.m. to pay the bills and water and sewer levies.
Second.
Add them. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Well,
I move we adjourn.
that was it. We recessed.
Oh,
That's already
So you
done.
see this video?
Yeah, that's it.
Good.